Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic. And Open Mic is what we do here on the weekends when all we do is take the live questions that you guys have to send in. Starting the show a little bit late today. We had a little bit of a technical problem earlier with YouTube, but we all seem to be up and running now, so everything seems to be working. So yay us. We're up and running and ready to go. So, got a lot of things to talk about here today. Of course, Rise of Skywalker is now out. It's out in theaters. Everybody's had a chance to see it now. Or at least most people have had a chance to see it now. I'm sure a bunch of you guys are going to go see it tonight. I have seen it thrice. I have not hid that this is not a movie that I like. I don't like this one. I don't think it's a complete, utter dumpster fire by any stretch of the imagination. And when I came out of this movie, I said, you know, this movie's got some highlights, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that like it. And it turns out it's true. There are a lot of people that like it. And I'm glad. I'm super thrilled. I'm so happy people are liking this movie. I'm actually jealous because I wish I could be one of them, but I am not. But now that Rotten Tomatoes has verified audience scores, like people can't just go over there and troll bomb it. They actually have to prove they saw the movie, and then they can register a vote. And now that they have verified scores, right now, the Rise of Skywalker, right now, the majority of critics and the majority of fans like this movie. Right now, it's sitting at a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means the majority of the critics liked it. I'm not one of them, unfortunately. And 86% of the verified audience, and right now, a little over 20,000 people, verified people who verified and proved they saw the movie, have cast, and that's at an 86%. So that's a good clip. That's a really good clip. Again, it's not a movie that I liked, but I hope everybody loves every movie they see. So I'm really glad people are enjoying this one. Now, of course, The Last Jedi's audience score would have been a lot higher, except they didn't have that thing in place where people had to verify they saw it at the time. So I think it's sitting at around, what, 40%? Hold on a second. Let me bring this up. Oops, I just typed in The Jedi. Maybe if I typed in The Last Jedi, maybe that will help. Why is it not finding anything for The Last Jedi? There, anyway, Last Jedi. So right now, of course, you see there's 215,000 reviews, and they are not verified. Notice that word verified isn't there. So I'm sure this number of 43% would have been significantly higher. How much higher, I don't know. But it's good to see that people are at least enjoying The Rise of Skywalker. I wish I did. Now, I will go more into The Rise of Skywalker tomorrow on our open spoiler review. I'll go into details about what I liked about the movie, what I didn't like about that movie, all that sorts of stuff. So that's going to be tomorrow afternoon. So once we're done open mic today, I am going to, and today's going to be a long open mic. We've got a lot of questions in here today, including we're going to pick up on the ones we had left over from yesterday. So it's going to be a long open mic today. Buckle in. But when we're done open mic today, I'm going to post up the live event for tomorrow's open spoiler discussion, and that's when you guys can start firing in your questions. I got a feeling it's going to be a good one tomorrow. So anyway, with all that stuff done, guys, I hope you guys have had a fabulous weekend, a good start to your weekend so far. I know I have. Me and Ann spent some time with family last night on the Filipino side. Spent some time with the Filipino family. It was really great. Spent some time with her mom this morning, so it's been good. And now it is time for some open mic. So let's not waste any more time, and let's dive right into it. We're going to start things off here with Ivan Gonzalez, who writes in, "Hey, John, I can't put into words how much I am disappointed with The Rise of Skywalker. The movie is absolutely horrific from the opening to the end. Horrific. I have never in my life hated a movie like I hated this. I legit cried." Let's get to the second part here, part 2 of 3. In my honest opinion, Kathleen Kennedy should step down or be fired because I'm just simply tired. Love The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi had its problems, but it didn't deserve to get shit on like that. Johnson did a great job. Right now, I'm just so thankful that we have The Mandalorian and that I can enjoy next week's episode. Today has been truly one horrific day to be a Star Wars fan for me, but hopefully other people like it. And that's the key, Ivan. Here, so let me first get to that last thing you said. The key, I believe, to a good film fan is one that may love or hate a movie, but hopes that other people get enjoyment out of it even if they don't. That's the key to being a film fan. That's the key to a healthy, non-toxic fan community. When it's like, hey, I didn't like it, and I'm not going to apologize for not liking it, but I legitimately hope other people do. Because other people are going to go out to watch this movie, and they have high hopes, and I hope they're able to get something out of it that I didn't. That doesn't change the fact that I didn't like it, but I hope other people do. That's the heart of a real film fan. And I'm glad you put that in there, even though you are clearly personally disappointed with the film. Look, as far as, the stuff with where it's at, I thought there was some highlight moments. I thought there were some real highlight moments in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Today is not for spoilers. Tomorrow we'll talk about spoilers. And there are certain things in this movie that I really like. Look, I've been open about this. One of the big improvements, an area of big improvement, I think, in Rise of Skywalker over The Last Jedi was the use of Finn and how Finn was utilized. I think, I like The Last Jedi. I don't love it, but I like The Last Jedi. But one of the big weaknesses of that film was how they used Finn. And I think, to be honest, even though I don't like this particular movie, I think the way they used Finn was a massive improvement over the way they used him in The Last Jedi. That's just my personal opinion. And I think there are some other big highlight things in the movie as well, which we won't go into right now for obvious reasons. But yeah, overall, it is what it is. And it's funny, I came out of my third screening the other night, and a bunch of the audience cheered when the movie ended. But then I had a bunch of people grabbing me in the foyer of the theater going, I hated it, man. I hated it. So it's like, there you go. But you just came out of the same theater I was in where people were cheering. And then I had all these people telling me they hated it. So, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. I though, personally applaud JJ for he tried some really big, bombastic, bold things. And when you try big, bombastic, bold things, that means there's going to be a good chunk of times that it doesn't work. So do we want our directors to try big, bold things, or do we want them not to? Because if we say we want our directors to try big, bold things, then we got to be ready to accept that sometimes that's not going to work out, because that's just what it is. Otherwise, if it was easy, then everybody would do big, bold things. But when you do big, bold things, there's a chance of failure. And I applaud him. I really do. I see what he was trying to do, and I applaud what he was trying to do. So that's just me. All right, next up. Roger Strickland writes, love the show. Thank you so much. I usually agree with you, but I loved, see, here we go. You disliked it, Ivan. Now Roger does. I love The Rise of Skywalker. Glad we can have a different opinion and still respect, still stay filthy. Hey, listen, I love that people are loving it. I love it. Actually, before I started the show, I actually put up a tweet that says, you know what? I love when people love movies, even when it's a movie that I don't like. I put that up on Twitter just a little bit before we started the show. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And as a matter of fact, somebody wrote to me a little bit earlier, says, I actually feel a little bit of jealousy that you liked it, because I wanted to badly. And I still love Star Wars. I still look forward to the next week's episode of Mandalorian. I still look forward to whatever the next Star Wars movie is going to be, but you had a better experience at it than I did, so I'm just going to sit here and be a little bit jealous of you, Roger. Thanks for sharing. All right, S. Beam writes, my Skywalker saga ranks. Number 1, A New Hope. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, The Phantom Menace. Number 4, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 5, The Force Awakens. Number 6, Return of the Jedi. Number 7, Revenge of the Sith. Number 8, The Last Jedi. Number 9, Attack the Clones. Bring the Filthy and May the Force be with you. Well, obviously mine looks a lot different than yours, which is great. That's what lists are supposed to be. Still to this day, my favorite Star Wars movie is The Return of the Jedi. It, to me, is the absolute high point, highlight, and epitome of everything that makes a great Star Wars movie. Everything from the greatest space battle scene in the history of film to the greatest moment in Star Wars history with the Luke Vader confrontation in the Emperor's throne room on the Death Star. Amazing. The whole Jabba stuff, all of Endor. To me, it is just the utter perfection of what a great Star Wars movie is. And very, very close to it are Empire and New Hope to me. Very, very close. They're like 1A and 1B. Like they're so close. But to me, Jedi is like the epitome of that. But I'm glad you shared your list, and I'm glad that your list looks a little bit different than mine. All right, next up, Mr. Steele writes, have you seen the trailer for Antlers? Yes, I have. Produced by Guillermo del Toro. Your show yesterday was the second longest behind the monster almost 6-hour Endgame post show. Also, your show is Your show on or after Christmas will be your 700th. Really? I didn't know that. Filthy Persistence Biscuits. LOL, Mr. Steele has spoken. I got a feeling that, yesterday's John Campea Show went a little bit of a hair over 3 hours. I know I've done other shows that have gone over 3 hours. I know that I have done other shows that have gone over 3 hours. So maybe it's the second longest John Campea Show proper, but I know I've done open mics and I know I've done some other things that's gone over 3 hours. I'm positive. I'm absolutely positive. But closing in on 700 episodes, huh? I didn't even think about that. I don't keep count of the number of episodes I've done. Although maybe I should. That could be fun to do that. But yeah, and just so you guys know, my Christmas looks like this. Let me just bring up my calendar here. So there is, for next week, there is going to be a John Campea Show on Monday, and there is going to be a John Campea Show on Tuesday. That's Christmas Eve, the 24th. There will be no John Campea Show on the 25th, which is Christmas Day, but there will be a John Campea Show on the 26th, which is the Thursday. And then then that night, the 26th, the late night on the 26th, I fly to Canada to go see my family. So there will not be a show on Friday, the 27th. So there is going to be John Campea shows this coming week on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. No show on Christmas Day, and then no show on the Friday. And then we should be back the following week. So just so you know, getting you all caught up there. And I hope you have a great holiday season, Mr. Steele. Thanks for sending that in. All right. Hillary Clinton writes in. Hello there, John. Take a dramatic pause and reveal to the world what your favorite thing is about your secret favorite movie, Christmas with the Cranks. Although thoughts on there being children's faces on cockroaches and mice in the Cats movie. Wait a second. Thoughts on there being children's faces on cockroaches and mice in the Cats movie. I have not seen the Cats movie. So I can't answer that. I had no idea there were cockroaches with children's faces on them or mice in them. I had no idea. I hadn't seen a spoiler alert, Hillary. I have no intention of watching this movie. I'll be honest with you. The Cats thing is such a heartbreak to me. It's such a heartbreak to me. That I have really been looking forward. I've really been looking forward to Cats for one main big reason. All right? One main big reason. And that one main big reason is because Tom Hooper is directing it. That's the main reason why I've been looking forward to that so much. And because he directed, King's Speech, which might be one of my, if not my favorite movie of the decade. He also directed the wonderful rendition of Les Mis that he did with Hugh Jackman. They got a number of Academy Award nominations. And so I was really looking forward to this. And I'm just hearing from people I know that just hated it, and they're hating it so bad, I think I'm going to take a pass on it. I don't know that I want to go watch Tom Hooper make a bad movie. Look, every director has a bad day at the office. Every movie has a bad day at the office. So, unfortunately, Hillary, I have no idea about any of that other stuff because I haven't seen it yet myself. Maybe never will. All right. Jeremy Shibasu writes, Sonic, Scooby, SpongeBob. Choose one to watch. Scooby. I've got more. I think that looks bad too, but I think that has potential. I'm not predicting it's going to be good. But as of right now, I think that Scooby movie has potential. I don't think Sonic has potential, and I'm not a SpongeBob fan. I know everybody's going to get mad, but I'm not a SpongeBob fan, so I would pick Scooby. Massive Jada writes, the next evolution for movies, smelling the scenes? No, I don't think so. I don't think they'll ever do that. Honestly, I think the next significant evolution of movie theaters, and this is one I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm thinking maybe within 5 years we might get it, but is 3D without needing glasses. I think that's the next big transformative thing that can happen in theaters. Everything else has been done. We've got the best of the best laser projection. We've got comfy seats. We've got wonderful sound. We've got all this. Honestly, to me, the next true revolution will have to be glasses less 3D. Jeremy also writes, opening shot, Barney on the floor, drink in his hand, underpants on his head. He's trying to reach something. He mumbles, I'm going hunting. I love the show. You and the crew are incredible. Thank you so much for that, Jeremy. Yeah, I am still, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. This Barney the Dinosaur movie that they keep saying they're going to be doing, that it's going to subvert, I still can't believe they said that. It's going to subvert expectations. I actually don't think this movie's going to happen. Now, I don't know that. Clearly, I don't know that. But my guess is this movie ain't going to happen. I mean, there's potential there, but it even just seems to me like the concept of a Barney movie is like years overdue. Like, it's like if you were going to do a Barney movie, if for whatever twisted reason you really wanted to do a Barney movie, fine. But you probably should have done that Barney movie in like 2003. Right? I don't know that now's the time. I don't know that anybody cares. I don't think you're going to get kids interested in it. I don't think you're going to get adults interested in it. There's not any real nostalgia there. So look, it probably will, but I'm just going to guess that it's not going to happen. I'm just going to guess it's not going to happen. All right. Let's see here. Murray Reich writes, saw The Rise of Skywalker, and I don't know how I feel about it. Some moments were great. Humor and action were great. By the way, I thought the humor in the film was pretty good. I'll give it that. I actually thought the humor in The Rise of Skywalker was pretty good. Otherwise, so far I give it a 5.3 out of 10. Story was incoherent. Some things before seeing this movie were not explained. Certain plot points made no sense. Ending wasn't great in my opinion. Yeah, and like I said, I've got a long list of things that I need to go through. And I'll do those. Both some positive things, a bunch of negative things. I got a big list of things I need to go through. Obviously can't do that today, Murray. But I mean, I'm with you for the most part on what you're saying there. I thought the humor was pretty good. I thought, oh, you know what? Let me finish reading the first one. The action was great. But at one point, the film, something big came out of left field and you had to either go with it or not. This movie felt like an apology letter to The Last Jedi. Overall, left underwhelmed. And then we read the rest of your stuff there. And yeah, that's one thing I'll say too. I won't explain why I feel this way because that would be spoilers, but I do agree. There was a bunch of this movie that felt like it was trying to make up for The Last Jedi. And I think that entire approach was the wrong approach. Not because The Last Jedi didn't have any weaknesses. Obviously it did. But I think making a new movie and you're using your movie to try to apologize for the last movie, you're going to lose your way and you're going to lose focus. And that's one of the things that made it difficult for me to enjoy Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker was that this film had no focus of its own. It had no focus of its own. And now I can't explain why I feel that way without going into spoilers, so I'll save that for tomorrow. But a bunch of things worked for some people, and again, the humor, some of the action was great, and some of the humor was really spot on. Actually, overall, I thought the humor in the movie was one of the strong suits of the movie. I really do. I definitely had a lot of very big grin moments in the movie. And that was one of the strengths. I think that was one of the strengths. I agree with you on that, Murray. All right. Topher Rocks writes, happy Friday. Well, obviously, this was a question that came in yesterday. So, John, do you ever go back and watch some of your rants? I love them. Also, do you ever regret them or something you said in them? No, I never. Look, there are obviously things that I say on the show. Because, look, everybody changes opinions and points of view and perspectives because as we gain new experiences, we gain new perspectives and maybe it would change something that I would have said before. But the fact of the matter is at that time, that's how I felt and that's what I said. So no, I don't regret anything that I've ever said. I don't regret any of it. I mean, there are times that I said some things the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. Sure, but nah. And no, I don't really. I used to go back and watch my old rants. I used to do that, but I just don't have time to do that anymore. So not really anymore. Not really anymore, just because I just don't have time. Let's see. Russell Amador writes, hey, John. Yesterday in the IMAX showing of Star Wars, they debuted a 3 to 5 minute clip of Tenet, and wow, it was intense. I thought the trailer had me hooked, but this clip just upped my anticipation levels for it. Did you see or hear about the clip being shown? I did hear about it. I did not see it because my theater of choice to watch movies is Prime, Dolby Theater Prime, not IMAX. So I was not in an IMAX theater to see it. I'm sure it'll make its way online at some point, but I have heard it was very good, which after seeing that trailer for Tenet the other day doesn't surprise me because that trailer was, I mean, not great for a second or third trailer, but for a first trailer, the trailer is just supposed to catch your interest and get you hooked in, did a great job. Such a wonderful first trailer. I am totally on board with Tenet at this point, and I'll look forward to seeing that new footage, Russell, but I have not seen it yet. Heard a lot about it, but I haven't seen it yet myself. All right. McDavid Deserves Better writes, which requires more suspension of disbelief? Entire galaxies in sci-fi having one universal currency, or aliens sounding like they're from Liverpool? Honestly, neither. Because look, if let's take Star Wars or even Star Trek or something like that. That is a world, that is a universe in which there is common government, common trade, all that kind of stuff. There being one type of currency is kind of necessary, right? I mean, that's why, look, you go over our world that we live in, every territory has its own currencies, but the global economy operates in US dollars for the most part, right? So really, there's no suspension of disbelief there needed at all. As far as the languages and accents and things like that, honestly, it is a tougher suspension of disbelief for me watching a movie where you're looking at we're watching a Russian team speaking with Russian accents instead of speaking Russian. You know what I mean? So that's a bigger suspension of disbelief. Once again, in outer space, it's not really something I need to worry about. All right, Suthius writes, Cavill with a sword all day, every day. My goodness, I have not watched Witcher yet. I'm going to start watching it later tonight. Later tonight is when I start watching The Witcher, so I have not seen it yet. And I'm loving the music in The Witcher, my kind. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it. I'm glad you're liking it, but I have not seen it yet. All right, anonymous writer writes in, is it fair to say Rise of Skywalker is a divisive movie like Batman versus Superman? It's impossible to say at this point. You got to give it at least 5, 6, 7 days in theater before you really start to say that. So no, it's at this point, it is not fair to say that. It might be fair to say that a week from now, but as of right now, no, it's not fair to say that. Not yet. Eduardo O'Neill writes, saw the first episode of The Witcher. The expositionary dialogue did not work for me at times, but there are some gems in it. Good news, I already love the Geralt character. I always say Geralt differently and everybody always gets mad. And oh my God, the last 10 minutes are pure gold. If dialogue gets better, this will be a great fast. Oh, this will get great fast. There we go. Again, I'm hearing very good things. Very good things. Again, I have not had a single moment to sit down and watch it yet myself. A little bit later today. Anne is taking her mom out for the day, so I'm going to have the house to myself. So I'm going to spend some of that time to sit down and watch me some Witcher, and hopefully I like it as much as you guys. All I know is that Henry Cavill all day, every day. I love that dude. All right. Captain Lakari writes, is Baby Yoda supposed to be Yoda? No, it's not supposed to be Yoda, just so you know. Eric Huffman writes, got high as a kite before watching Cats. It's the worst movie of the year, but damn, I was entertained. That's the best review I've heard of it so far, Eric. Got high as a kite. It's horrible, but man, I was entertained. That's great. That's a perfect way to describe a movie like that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like I've gone from looking forward to the movie because it's Tom Hooper to, oh my God, maybe I better avoid it because I'm hearing it's so bad. But I keep hearing it so bad that maybe I'm becoming morbidly intrigued. Maybe I should go see it anyway. I don't know. But that's a great way to describe it, Eric. All right. Darth Campea writes, hey, John. So I finally was able to see the new Star Wars movie at 10:30 p.m. showing at the AMC Dolby. No spoilers. Visually, it's full of eye candy. It's really good. Music and sound. The music is outstanding in it. John Williams outdid himself. Personally, I feel like John Williams outdid himself. Outstanding, but a friend sums it up best. It was Fast and Furious presents a Star Wars movie. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. There are some major logic problems with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I want to talk about one of them so bad. I want to talk about one of the logic problems, and there are many, but there's one in particular that keeps me up at night. It is so outrageously bad, but I'm going to hold on to it until tomorrow. I'm going to hold on to it till tomorrow. All right. Thanks for writing that in, Darth. All right, Anthony Cullen writes, John, I need your review of Cats in my life. If for no other reason, maybe I just need to see the movie just so I can review it myself. Jad writes, oops, nope, sorry. Thank you for writing, but it's not time for spoilers, guys. Second Street Marvel writes, Rise of Skywalker slated for 8:33, and trailers just ended. Outrageous, unacceptable. That needs to stop. Listen, I love trailers. You love trailers. Trailers are awesome. Trailers are life. But when you pay to be in a movie theater and you paid money to be there, them showing you 30 plus minutes of advertising is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You know, I love a good glass of cold Diet Pepsi. I like a good glass of cold Diet Pepsi. Good cold glass of cold Diet Pepsi is really good. I enjoy that. But if I go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant Steak in the Paris Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm paying $100 for his beef Wellington, you better not spend the first 40 minutes just bringing me out Diet Pepsi. No, give me what I paid for. Give me what I paid for. You know, it's unacceptable. Trailers are awesome. We love trailers. We celebrate trailers. Trailers are so important. Trailers are great. But that is just flat unacceptable, man. And we're going to talk more about that in the near future. All right, Santez Henderson writes, I like The Rise of Skywalker. Better than The Force Awakens? No, but definitely enjoyable. Thank you, Star Wars, for all the memories. I'm sure Disney will let you rest now that you won't bring money for them. Now that you won't bring money for them anymore. Oh, Star Wars will always make money. Make no mistake about it. Star Wars will always make money. Solo? Maybe with that one exception. Star Wars will always make money. But yeah, I mean, again, like I said when I came out of the theater, not only did I not like it, but I really did believe a lot of people would, because I see those gem moments in it that I thought, you know, for a lot of people, this is going to work. This is going to work for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people are going to like this movie, and I'm glad that they are. I celebrate that they are. Just like, hey, if there are people who like the prequels, you know how I feel about the prequels, but if there are other people that like the prequels, that's awesome. And I feel that way about The Rise of Skywalker. I'm glad people are liking it. I'm not one of them, and that's okay. And we'll talk about that more on the spoiler review tomorrow, but I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Sent. Again, to me, The Force Awakens is the best of the new movies. I love The Force Awakens. I love what JJ did on that one. It is what it is, but I'm glad you had a good time, Santez. That's the important thing. All right. Karam Tariq writes, I went to see The Rise of Skywalker this morning on Dolby Cinema. My instinct was correct about the naming of this movie. Overall, I liked it, but I'll put into the same category as Batman vs. Superman. My opinion of the movie is pretty much the same as you. Yeah, and again, I do want to talk about the title of the movie. I want to talk about the title of the movie so bad, but we can't talk about the title of the movie without giving away major spoilers of the movie. So again, that's something that's going to have to wait till tomorrow, obviously. But I know what you're talking about, Tariq. I know what you're talking about. And you and me, buddy, I am completely on the same page with you when it comes to that. Absolutely. But we'll go into more depth on that on tomorrow's show. Anyway, but I'm glad you at least overall liked it, man. It's always good when you can at least walk out of the theater and go, you know, overall I liked it. As long as you can do that, it's been a good day. All right, Stubble McShave writes, I always watch Blackadder's Christmas Carol this time of year. Blackadder goes from good to bad after the ghost of Christmas shows him how rotten his ancestors were and how he benefited from it. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen Blackadder's Christmas Carol. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, I believe. But I got to say, I've never personally seen it, so I can't kind of give any opinion. But I'm sure a lot of people right now, Stubble, are watching this and going, absolutely, like probably yelling at their screams about that. Jeff Kunston writes, love your show. Thank you so much, Jeff. I saw Skywalker last night and just loved it. It made me feel like a little kid again. Can hardly wait for the discussion video. Love you. And that's awesome, Jeff. I'm glad you had a good time. And like I said, when I went to go see it for the third time, on Thursday night was my third screening of it. There was applause. Like when the movie ended, there was some pretty enthusiastic applause in the theater. Not everybody, clearly not everybody, but there was some pretty enthusiastic applause throughout there. Actually, my two friends of mine, one, Kyle Newman, who I had on Dark Side, Light Side with me a couple of weeks ago. Kyle Newman, who really dislikes The Last Jedi. He loved this movie. He loved The Rise of Skywalker. Just loved it. My buddy Cody Miller, who does Best Movie, Worst Movie podcast with me and Robert, which starts back up again in late January. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. So there you go. And I think there's going to be a bunch of people that do. And then I think there's going to be some people like me that it doesn't work. And we'll go into the reasons that I think do work and the reasons why I think that don't work. We'll go into all those tomorrow, but I'm glad you had a good time with it, Jeff. All right. Rich from Queens writes, hey guys, just watch Endgame again, and I noticed, and you sent in a really, really large super chat. By the way, when you send in a tip or a super chat for $50 or more, I will answer your question in its own standalone 3 to 5 minute video. So let's touch on this right now, Rich, and then I'll get your individual video later in the weekend. Hey guys, just watch Endgame, and thank you for sending that in, by the way, Rich. Just watch Endgame again, and I noticed something new. When Thor meets Cap, M and the hammer flies past her head. You hear a whisper say, I have telepathy. Did you notice it? And was that the voice of Cap? Marvel or someone else? Happy holidays. When Thor meets Cap in Endgame, are you saying M is Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel? And the hammer, M and the hammer flies past her head, and you hear a whisper say, I have telepathy. I have never noticed that, Rich, but I'll tell you what, before I do a video answering your question, I will go back and double check on that to see if I hear it, or maybe you're just a psycho and you're just hearing those voices in your head. I don't know. I've never noticed it, but I've never looked for it. So maybe if I go back and watch it, I'll notice it too. I'll let you know when I do your own standalone video. Thank you for sending that in, Rich. All right. Jay Master writes in a large super chat. Thank you, Jay Master, for supporting the channel on that level, man. I went to see Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker last night in my nearby Regal movie theater here in Seattle. The theater I was in was packed. When the movie ended, all the people in the theater started clapping. I really love this movie, and I ended up crying in some scenes. Plus, the action was awesome. And again, we're hearing some people today who hated the movie, and we're hearing from a number of people like yourself, Jay, that loved the movie. And I'm sure there are some theaters that were maybe kind of quiet after the movie's done, and some theaters like the one I was in and like the one you were in where there was some applause after it. Which is great. It's, like I said, it's one that I'll go into the reasons why it doesn't work for me. But even though it didn't work for me, I recognize in the film there are some really good things in there that I think are going to really appeal to a bunch of other people. And I'm glad that you were one of them, Jay. So can't wait to do this spoiler discussion tomorrow because I'm dying to just get it, just talk about it already. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for writing that in, Jay. And I'm glad, Jay, that you had a good time watching it. That's the key thing. And I'm super glad that you enjoyed yourself. All right. Brian Clark writes, Universal may not be able to create a Lego ride or land because in both California and Florida, the characters' theme park rights are held by Merlin Entertainment / Legoland. Yes, but that doesn't mean there can't be subleases. That can't mean there aren't auxiliary licenses. It can't mean that certain licenses can't be revoked. It doesn't mean that there aren't potential lapses. And by the way, just because you do Legoland doesn't mean like you can't build something larger that Legoland can't have. There could be different things, right? So it all depends. It's not that cut and dry. So there are 1,001 different ways, because like Legoland is not going to build the type of attraction that, say, a Disneyland can, or that a Universal theme park can, right? So it would kind of be considered a different thing. It's difficult to go into details. I know like with toy companies, like different toy companies both have the rights to make toys for the same movie. It's just that one toy company can make these types of toys and another toy company can make another kind of toy. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's the case here. I don't know the intricacies of the licensing agreement between, Lego and Merlin Entertainment and what was at Warner Brothers and what will soon be at Universal. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but there are lots of different ways that you can still have Legoland and have Lego attractions at, say, Universal Parks that are distinct and very different from what they might have at Legoland. I don't know that that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying there are doors there that could be opened if they wanted to open them. But interesting topic to bring up, Brian. I'm glad you did that. All right. Advith writes, but John, why have you removed the opening theme? Honestly, the opening theme for the show with the music and the spinning logo, I'll tell you why it was removed. Because I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. I know that sounds strange to say. Sorry, I got a sliver in my finger. I don't know how I got there. Trying to see it now. There it is. I'll have to go and get some tweezers to it when I take a break. It literally just disappeared off my computer. Yeah, and I looked for it and I can't find it. So now I got to slap together. I got to put another one together when I get the time. I just haven't had the time to do it. But I will get around to it. All right. Brent Robinson writes, hey, John and crew, I want to say thank you for giving us a great show each day. Oh, thank you so much, Brent. It's always great when somebody wants to write in just to say something nice. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that very much. It is our honor every day to get together here and talk movies with our fellow film fans. All right. John Field writes, hey, John, longtime fan. Thank you so much, John. Been watching you since you were on AMC Movie Talk. I noticed a trend in Hollywood recently with the rock star biopics. What artists do you want to see have a biopic? I think a Rolling Stones one would be badass. Thoughts? All right, so I'm very unpopular when it comes to this topic because I have a very different opinion than most people do. I don't find musicians to be particularly interesting people. And everybody's mad at me, right? But I'm saying this, but I really liked the Bohemian Rhapsody biopic, and I enjoyed Rocket Man, and I really liked Walk the Line. But honestly, the fascination of musicians is odd to me. It's odd to me. I would rather hear them doing a biopic about the guy who cured polio, or I would rather see a biopic about a guy who maybe staved off a major famine in some country somewhere. I would rather see biopics about people who did things that actually mattered. And I know that sounds harsh. But I'm far more fascinated about people who did things that actually mattered than musicians. Now, I understand the weirdness of me saying that because I raved about Bohemian Rhapsody. I really liked it. I did. And I'm not going to lie, if they were suddenly to announce tomorrow that they were doing a YouTube biopic, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested in it. But from the outside looking in, I would just be more interested about people who really changed the world. But that's just me. But we are, as a culture, we are a celebrity-obsessed culture. Says the guy who does a daily movie talk show. I understand the inherent contradiction there. I totally get it. I do. But we are a celebrity-obsessed culture. We're the only type of ridiculous culture that we can make celebrities out of people who are only famous for being famous, like Kardashians or whatever. And I'm not shitting on the Kardashians. I'm just saying they don't actually do anything, but they are celebrities for being celebrities. We are so celebrity obsessed, we make celebrities out of celebrities who are only celebrities because they're celebrities. And the circular thing goes. And I honestly think musicians is a part of that. I mean, I get it. That dude was great at playing guitar. Woo! I don't know. So when I hear about a new biopic coming out, and even if it's about a musician, I can get interested. But in the absence of that, if you're to ask me, what biopics do I want to get made? None of them will be musicians' names. It'll all be names about people who actually made significant differences in our world, or their communities, or their countries, or their towns, or their family, whatever. Those are the ones that interest me more. Those are one that interests me more. Not being, obsessed with celebrity culture. Again, says the guy who hosts a daily show about movies. I get it. I totally do. All right. Thanks for sending that in, man. All right. SM Down H9 writes, best iteration of Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I like that. I like Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I liked it from the first time I saw it. I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly about that, but I do love that movie a lot. And if they were to ever announce that they were going to try to do a live action adaptation of that, I'd be for it. I think I would. I think there's been times when I haven't been, but I think I would now for whatever reason. All right. Let's see here. Joseph Sordy writes, saw Rise of Skywalker at my local Cinemark. My movie time was 6 p.m. Didn't start until 6:40. Holy trailers, Batman. At least a dozen trailers. Come on. And again, I love trailers. I love trailers. Our movie culture loves trailers and all that kind of stuff. I've actually got an announcement to make in the coming days about trailers, but I'll get to that in a bit. But this whole thing about you tell us the movie starts at 7 and then you start at 7:30. You tell us the movie starts at 6:30 and it starts at 6:55. You tell somebody that a movie starts at 6 and the movie doesn't actually start until 6:40. That is a broken system. And you wonder why fewer people go to the movies these days than before? That might have something to do with it. You're hurting their experience. You're making it a worse experience. Even though I love trailers, but there's got to be an enough is enough point. You know what I mean? But anyway, sorry you had that experience, Joseph. I really am. All right. Tevez Fan 11 just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you so much, man. Matt Torres writes, hey, John, I feel like Rise of Skywalker was a far better conclusion to all 9 movies than it was to specifically episodes 7 through 9. Would you agree? Would you agree? In Werner Herzog's voice. I don't know. But again, you have to take, and by the way, Matt, that's a really generous tip to support the channel. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level. I'm the wrong guy to ask because I didn't like the movie. So I didn't find it to be either a satisfying conclusion to the new trilogy, nor a satisfying conclusion to, the Skywalker Star Wars saga up until this point. So if you were to ask me, now I might answer differently if I like the movie. Unfortunately, I don't. And as somebody who doesn't like the movie, I can't say that I thought it was a good conclusion to either of them, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was a decent conclusion to either. So again, that's where I sit. But again, take what I just said with the big grain of salt that I'm somebody who didn't like the movie. Now, somebody else who did enjoy the movie and got more out of the movie than I did, they would probably give you a different answer. But being as in the position that I'm in, Matt, I can't really answer it any more than that because I don't think it was a good ending or a good movie in general to do that. So unfortunately, it kind of disqualifies me, if you will. It kind of disqualifies me from really having an opinion on that because, and I know you're only asking which one do I think is a better conclusion, but since I don't think either is kind of decent, I can't really say that one is better than the other. You know what I mean? But that's just my thoughts. Again, ask somebody who did enjoy the film and you'll probably get a more definitive answer than I can give. But it's an interesting perspective, Matt. I like the way you're looking at that. All right. Tevez Fan 11 writes, hey, John, see the Star Wars Blue Monday YouTube video. I have not seen that, so I will also, let me type that in. Blue Monday. Okay, I've got that in there now. I will go and check that out at some point. Thank you for putting it on my radar. All right, Cass Graphics writes, The Rise of Skywalker currently has an 88% on audience score. It's gone down just a touchdown to 86. I liked it. I think the average audience member is not a dumpster fire. I liked it, didn't love it. Yeah, well, it's weird, but it's important to understand this. Right now, regardless of how I or other people like me feel, the reality is that both the majority of film critics and the majority of the audience like this movie. A bigger majority of the audience than the critics, but like the last time I checked, the critic rating on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker was like 57%. That means the majority of critics like it. the audience score is at 86%. That means the majority of the audience is liking it. And that's great. That's great. So it's not just one or the other. People are enjoying it, and that's good. It is, but every once in a while, there will be a film that a lot of people dislike that you like, and that a lot of people like that you dislike. Same is true as me. Sometimes there's movies that all the critics like that I don't. Sometimes there's a movie out that all the critics and fans hate that I enjoy. Same as you, same as me. And, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is one of those ones that I'm not on the positive side. But that's me. But I'm still happy that everybody else seems to be liking it so much, so that's a good thing, man. All right. Eduardo O'Neill writes, I commented earlier on the quality of the dialogue in The Witcher. I'm pleased to report that it has gotten much... Oh, yeah, that's right. You just wrote it a little while ago. That's right. I'm pleased to report that it has gotten much better. I'm 5 episodes in, and I love 2 of the 3 main storylines. It's great so far, and Geralt, I should say, and his companion are the best. Again, haven't seen it myself, but you've just made me feel a little bit better about it, Eduardo, now that you're coming back and saying that the dialogue actually gets better. So if I start to watch it and feel like the dialogue's bad, now I can know I can look forward to getting better. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. All right. Willow writes, you've never owned a house, but John, aren't you a millionaire? It says so on the internet. Yep. I never forget this. Somebody sent me this thing, and I can't remember where it was from. But there's some report online that I was like worth $1.8 million or something like that. Yes. I am, it saddens me to report to you that such a report is not accurate. Such a report is not accurate. I indeed do not have $1.8 million or however much it said I have. And it's true. I've never owned a home. Ann and I right now are like the place we have in Burbank, we rent because it's ridiculously expensive to live here. Yet this is where Ann's job is. So this is where we got to live. But we are actually looking to buy our first home. We're hoping to. But it's tough, man. I'll tell you what, living in Burbank, it is tough. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up a little something for you guys. Give me a second to pull something up here. You would think that if you were to spend $700,000 on a house, right? If you were to spend $700,000 or $800,000 on a house, you would think you're probably going to get a really good house, right? You think, my goodness, I'm going to get a marvelous house for $700,000. Are you kidding me? You're going to be able to get something great for $700,000, right? I kid you not. I'm going to bring this up right now. This is make sure there's no private information on here. Okay, there's not right now. So this is, the type this house right here, $720,000. Look at this place. $720,000 for that. I don't know about you. I'm not spending $700,000 on that house. There's no way. But this is the types of matches. These are the type of home matches that we're getting, trying to look at that price range is like, I guess we're going to be renting forever. So yeah, Ann and I are trying to find a house. But it's, unless you got like $1.4 million, you're not, and you know what makes me mad? Ann and I, we're kind of hooked on HGTV, right? And you remember like Fixer Upper with Chip and Joanna? We love Chip and Joanna. Anyway, I would get so mad and scream at the television because they'd be like, okay, so what we found for you here, I'm doing a terrible Chip Gaines. I'm terrible imitation, but okay, so what we got for you here is we've got a 5-bedroom, 2,900 square foot house with a 2-acre lot, triple garage parking, and they're asking right now $200,000. And when he says the price, I want to throw things at the TV. And I swear at Chip and Joanna Games, fuck you! I get so mad. I scream at them. It's like $200,000 for like a 5-bedroom. Like, where do you live? Why can't I live there? Anyway, so this is me now just talking about my personal problems. Do you guys mind? Do you mind? This is therapy for me. Do you mind I'm just taking our time here for me to talk about my personal problems? I can't live here. Living here is ridiculous. Living in Los Angeles is ridiculous. Unless you want to live in Los Angeles is a very, very big place. And don't get me wrong. I really do like living in LA. I do. There's so many great things about living in LA, and I really do enjoy living here. But as far as financially what it takes to live here, it's utterly preposterous. And I really wish we could move away. I really do. But we can't because my wife has a job here and we can't leave. So, it is what it is. But that is why I have not owned a house. We're trying to own a house right now, but I ain't finding anything that's coming close to what I need or want for the type of money that they want. It's crazy, folks. It is crazy. So I live in a rental. Right now I live in a rental, and that's okay. All right. That was, thank you for letting me vent. Oh, I feel better. My soul feels better. Thank you for letting me vent. All right. Let's see. And God, I want to move back to Canada. Harry Mudd writes, The Witcher is everything it's been hyped up to be, and Henry Cavill makes for a great Geralt, and the fact that the show already has been greenlit for season 2 bodes well. In short, I love the series, and listen, this is all just hyping me up. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet myself. I'm going to do that a little bit later today, but hearing all this positive stuff does the spirit good, man. It does the heart good. I'm liking hearing this. All right, thanks for sharing your review on that, Harry. All right, Blake writes, Last Jedi, 91% critic score, 43% audience score. Episode 9, 57% critic score, 86% audience score. It seems critics may not like this movie because it rebuffs... Oh, no, that's just idiotic. Don't say stupid things like that, Blake. It seems critics may not like this movie because it rebuffs a movie they did like, and perhaps... fans do like it for the same reasons. No, that's Blake. I'm going to tell you straight up, as a brother, as a fellow movie loving brother, that's idiotic. That's an idiotic thing to say. That's just an absolute, and you are no idiot, and you're my movie loving brother, but that is an idiotic thing to say. That is not how film critics work. Oh, this movie rebuffs a movie I like, so I'm going to listen. The majority of the critics liked it. I didn't like this movie, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it rebuffs or does whatever. It has nothing to do with it. And by the way, don't forget that 43% audience score, that 43% audience score is a fake number because that is prior to when Rotten Tomatoes made users verify that they saw the movie before voting, right? The fact of the matter is, we know for Last Jedi, a whole ton of people troll bombed it and did all this kind of stuff, and it was unverified, and you had people casting negative votes on it before the movie even came out, and blah, blah. I'm not saying that the audience score for The Last Jedi would have been 86%. I'm not saying that. But the audience score for The Last Jedi would have been significantly higher than what it is now. Today, Rotten Tomatoes has a verified audience rating system where people have to be able to verify that they saw the movie in order to cast a vote, and we're seeing a stronger number, as it should be. But yeah, Blake, that is something a 5-year-old would say that doesn't understand anything about the way snow works. Like that's saying like something, I think it's raining because God's crying. That's kind of what that's saying. That is not it at all. It's just that there were a bunch of critics who saw The Last Jedi, like myself, and happened to like it. A lot of people liked The Last Jedi. A lot of people didn't, but a lot of people did. And then they came in and watched this movie, and they didn't like it. I didn't like it. Has nothing to do with The Last Jedi, has nothing to do, if anything, JJ did my favorite new Star Wars movie in The Force Awakens, so I was extra excited and extra amped for it, but it just wasn't good. Blake, here's the thing, and this is, I say this heart to heart to all film fans. Do not, and this goes to everybody, do not be one of those people that instantly start to make excuses for why people like or don't like a movie. Don't be one of those. Oh, they liked it? Well, they only liked it because of this. Shut up. Stop making excuses. They liked it because they liked it. Oh, they didn't like the movie? Well, they only didn't like it because of it. No, shut up. Shut up. You're making yourself look stupid. Shut up. They didn't like it because they didn't like it. We have got to stop as film fans. You've done it. I've done it. We've all done it. We've got to stop as film fans because we make ourselves look completely idiotic when we make excuses for why somebody else liked or didn't like something that we liked or didn't like. You got to stop that. You just didn't like it because you didn't understand it. No, I understood it. I just watched it. I understood it, but I didn't like it. You only like that because you're biased for this. No. I watched it and I liked it because I liked it. And making excuses for why other people did or did not like something is a sign of weakness, because it means that I'm not mentally strong enough to feel secure in my opinion to just accept that other people will have a different opinion. You see, the mind of the weak works this way. I think this, but this other guy thinks something else. The very fact that this other guy thinks something else undermines me and my opinion, when in reality it doesn't. Somebody else feeling differently about a movie than you do doesn't undermine your opinion. It doesn't delegitimize your opinion. Your opinion is still your opinion. It's every bit as valid as it was before that other guy disagreed with you. When we don't accept that, then we feel the need to make an excuse. Critics didn't like it because of this. Audiences did like it because of that. Blah, blah, blah. No. They just watched it and liked it or didn't like it. It's just that simple. And it is the mind of the weak. And you've done it. I've done it. All of us as film fans have done this. We've all done this. But it is a sign of us being in a moment of mental weakness when we do it, that our first reaction becomes, let me look for the excuse. Let me look for the excuse as to why somebody did or didn't like something, instead of just accepting, oh, they liked that one and they didn't like this, or they hated that one and they liked this one. That's all there is to it. And it is a sign in me that I'm in a moment of mental weakness when I start to make up an excuse to try to come up with some other reason other than because can't possibly, if I like this movie, then anybody else should like it too. Everybody should like it. And if somebody doesn't like it, that must mean because there's something else going on. No. My opinion is not the arbiter of what everybody should think. Your opinion is not the arbiter of what everybody else should think. And if anybody disagrees with your or my opinion, there must be something going on. No. It's just that they thought differently. So I got to tell you, and I say all this in love, my film loving brother, because we've all done it, me included. You've done it, I've done it. So I'm saying this totally in love as a fellow film loving brother. We can't get in the habit of making idiotic excuses for why other people don't think the way we think they should think. They just liked one movie and they didn't like another. And it's just that simple. Anybody who tells you different is exposing themselves as being pretty mentally weak. And that's it. So anyway, that's just my thought on that, Blake. Anyway, it sounds like I was coming down. I didn't mean to come down harsh on you, Blake. I certainly hope it doesn't sound like I was coming down harsh on you specifically. This is just a big issue that I'm a part of as well in the whole film fan community. It's a part of the toxicity of the film fan community right now, this inherent need to make an excuse. Because basically what you just did was you've accused people of not giving their honest opinion about something. And I know that wasn't your intention, but that's what we do. And that is the seeds of toxic behavior in the fan community. And it's a dangerous thing. So I'm speaking to all of us, Blake, not just you, but although it sounds like I'm picking on you, I'm really not. I'm talking to all of us, including this guy sitting in the chair. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up, man. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, Togo is amazing, doing full justice to a story. Not a dry eye among my family at the end. Now, this is the Disney Plus movie that has Willem Dafoe in it. And as I write this, both Rotten Tomatoes scores are in the 90s. I've wanted this movie for years, and it's all I could have hoped for. That's awesome, because I remember, Ryan, that you were talking about this film a little bit earlier. You were talking about this film before, and that you were really looking forward to it. And I'm glad it's lived up to your expectations, man. I really am glad. And you know what? I saw a preview. Here's the thing. I saw an early preview. Not the full movie, just like a sizzle preview for it. At D23 this year. Disney did this presentation on Togo. And I gotta be honest with you, it didn't do anything for me. But if you're saying it's as good as it is, I might have to sit down and pop on Disney Plus to watch something other than the Jeff Goldblum show and Mandalorian. And maybe I should watch it. Maybe I should give it a check, because you seem to love it, so I might have to check it out too. Thanks for the update on that, Ryan. All right. Just going to take a couple more questions here, guys, and then we're going to take a little short break so I can go refill my drink. Jay Bling writes, when do you think you'll catch Uncut Gems to see if Adam Sandler is worth the hype? I'll be honest with you, I have no idea even when it comes out. I was invited to a screening of it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was in an area of town that it takes me forever to get to, so I just didn't go. But I'm not even sure, when does Uncut Gems even drop on... Hold on a second. Uncut Gems Netflix release. When does it open up? Oh, it's... I didn't even know. It's already available. It's already available. Oh, no. So it was released in the United States on December 13th and is scheduled for a nationwide release on December 25th. It will be released worldwide, excluding America, on Netflix. Excluding America? Well, wait a second. Then when does it open on Netflix? I don't even know. Well, you know what? I'll get around. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch any sort of advanced screening of it. I will watch it whenever it becomes available on Netflix. Right now, I can't tell really right now when it does get released. So whenever it releases on Netflix, that's when I'll watch it. But I'm dying to see it. I am. I with all the hype that Adam Sandler's getting for it as well. I just think the trailers look amazing. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I'm probably going to wait to see it until it comes out on Netflix. All right. Anonymous writes, hey, John. Anyway, I'm not even going to read that. Casinema Reviews writes, for the Rise of Skywalker spoiler discussion, sorry, not going to do that right now. Guys, I did announce earlier this week, guys, that don't send in for the Rise of Skywalker spoiler discussion until after this show today. I announced that on the John Campea Show earlier, so I apologize, guys, but we can't take those questions now. ZMG Ruler writes, B+ cinema score for The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know about $1 billion now. Hey, listen, there have been a lot worse films. There have been a lot worse films that make well over $1 billion. There have been films with C cinema scores that make $1 billion. So... yeah, I still feel pretty good that this movie's going to make $1 billion. I've always said it's never going to make $2 billion. I've said that all year. Like, the next movie's not going to make $2 billion. But I still feel pretty good that it's going to hit $1 billion. All right, Nick Webster writes, hey, John, have you seen the Star Wars The Old Republic cinematic shorts? And if so, do you think they'd make a good movie/TV series? Love the show. No, I don't. I think they're great, but they're great for what they are. Story snippets in a video game. I think I get a big kick out of watching all of them. For every new rendition they put out, whether it was the stuff with, with the Sith versus the Jedi, then there was the stuff with the twins, and then all that, and then the little one. I love all of them, but they are great for what they are, which is story snippets within a larger game. I don't necessarily think they could make good TV shows or movies, no. Now, that being said, I never would have said a few years ago that a movie about little plastic building block toys, Legos, could make a good movie, and they did. I mean, so anything can be made. You can make a Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone movie. That sounds stupid, but if you wrote the right script in the right way, with the right execution, it could be as good as the Lego movie or better. So anything can work. Do those things lend themselves to it, though? I don't think they do. Doesn't mean it's impossible that they could be made into something great, but I see them as great for what they are. I don't necessarily see those as being turned into good movies or TV shows. I think they're great for what they are, and that I would leave them there. That's just me personally, though. But I do enjoy watching them. Nick. All right, Jared McBride writes, John, I hope you and Ann have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. Thank you and listen, this whole holiday season, we've already had a really good time. Spent some really good time with family last night. We've had a great day so far. I'm looking forward to having a good weekend. We're not going to be with my family on Christmas, but we're going to get there the day after Christmas. So that's fine. We're going to be able to spend a few days with my family, which is great. And so far, Jared, so good. Thank you for throwing that in there, man. All right, GQ writes, my top 5 movies that I want a sequel to. Number 1, The Score. Really? That's interesting. Number 2, Ex Machina. Number 3, Hancock. Number 4, I, Robot. Number 5, Real Steel. I agree with 2 of them. Honestly, I think Ex Machina, I think that was perfect as it is. I think to do the movie that comes after that would be such a different movie than Ex Machina that I'm honestly not that interested in it. So there's for that. Hancock is one I still don't understand why they didn't make a sequel to it. That is one that absolutely should. It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. I liked Hancock. It was majorly financially successful, and it was totally set up for a sequel. I have no idea why they never did another one. I always thought they should. And Real Steel is absolutely another one. Real Steel is definitely one they should have done a sequel to. I love that damn movie. All right, nice one. Nice list there, GQ. All right, also GQ writes, we have created a moviegoers WhatsApp group where the first one who go watches a movie, he'd count exactly when the movie starts. Then he informs everyone in the group. This way we have solved the commercials problem. That's one way I recommend for everyone. Here's the problem, GQ. The problem is that can differ from day to day. I've gone to see a movie in a theater on a Monday and then loved it and gone back the very next day to see it on a Tuesday, and it wasn't the exact same trailer package, which means it can have different lengths. So that is good thinking, but I think you'll find that it also has some inherent problems because not all the theaters stay consistent with it and they'll change it up. So, but it's a good first step. I like it. That's tried it. But again, it shouldn't be up to us to come up with these weird convoluted ways to try to make sure we don't waste our time sitting down watching tons of commercials, but also making sure we don't miss the start of the movie. That shouldn't be on us. That should be on the movie theater to tell us when the movie starts. If you want to say the showtime starts at 6, that's fine, but you damn well as movie theaters better start telling me when the actual movie starts. Showtime starts at 6, movie begins at 6:24. Great, fine. Now I know if I want to come in and watch the trailers on the big screen, because a lot of people do sometimes. If I want to come in and watch some trailers on the big screen, I know when I got to be there by. Showtime starts at 6. But if I don't want to watch any of that stuff, I just want to go and watch the movie that I paid for, then I know I can wander in at 6:24. You know, I think that's the way to do it. It shouldn't be on you. Like, you're coming up with some creative stuff, GQ, but it shouldn't be on you and it shouldn't be on me to come up with these weird ways that we figure it. It's on the theaters to tell us what time the movie starts. Anyway, that's just me. Darth Weir writes, Rise of Skywalker currently has 57% on Rotten Tomatoes and a B+ cinema score. Is this movie divisive? Again, no. I'm not saying it won't be divisive, but as of right now, it's far too early to say. Just by nature, a movie being 50% doesn't really mean it's divisive. Because, you know, the people that don't like it might be, yeah, I mean, the movie, it has its benefits, but I didn't quite like it. And the movie, people that liked it were like, yeah, the movie's got a lot of problems, but I overall enjoyed it. That's not really divisive. Divisive is kind of like, it's more Batman versus Superman or The Last Jedi, where it's like the people who liked it, the majority of the people who liked it really liked it and really defend it. And the people who didn't like it really didn't like it and are very vocal about their hatred of it. That's really more. So you can have a 50% movie that's really not divisive, and you can have a 50% movie that's extremely divisive, right? So I think we're far too early in to tell. Not even everybody's had a chance to see the movie yet. And I'm not seeing a lot of fights about it. I'm just seeing people going, hey, I enjoyed it. And some people going, I didn't like it, but it had something. You know, I'm not seeing a lot of explosions all over the place just yet. And maybe they'll come. Maybe we'll get another 4 or 5 days in and you'll really start to see some people drawing lines in the sand. But as of right now, I'm not seeing it, but it's a little too early to tell. So I'm not ready to call it divisive at this point. Or that it's not divisive either. I think we got to give it a few more days. That's just my opinion. All right, RJ Technovine writes, Episode 9 nailed it for me. Wow, I am so happy. Again, another person who really enjoyed it. There you go. Not being militant about it, just saying, I really enjoyed it. I really had a good time. And that's the important thing. All right, John McKinley writes, 90s Spider-Man cartoon is better than the live-action Spider-Man films. I wholeheartedly disagree, but that's okay. We're allowed to disagree. Spider-Man 1, 2002 is the only live-action Spider-Man movie that worked for me. To each their own. And again, that's true. It is to each their own. That is the whole nature of the subjectivity of film and entertainment. We all see something, and we all have our own unique experience with it. I mean, we're seeing that right now with The Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people are watching it and going, yeah, that didn't really work. And a lot of people are watching going, wow, this really worked. We all have a unique experience with a piece of art, with not just movies or TV shows, like any art. We can hear a joke. Some people will laugh. Some people won't. You can walk past a piece of art in a museum and go, oh, that one's interesting, and then walk on by. Another person will stop and go, this painting is changing my life, right? And like for me, yeah, the animated stuff, not so good. But the movies, great. Most of the time. Not all of them. But you have a different experience, right? And that's the great thing. See, some people see the subjectivity of entertainment as a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It's the best thing about movies. The best thing about movies is the subjectivity of it. The best thing is the fact, who wants to live in a world where if John Campea didn't like that movie, that means nobody could like the movie? Who wants to live in that world? We live in a world where I can see a movie and didn't enjoy it, but other people can see it and still enjoy it. That's the best thing about the art. That's the best thing about it. And that's a really good example of it, John. All right, last question I'm going to take. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of a short break here so I can top up my drink here. Edgar Navarro writes, all right, John, settle a Twitter debate. Who gives the better speeches, Optimus Prime or Captain America? Definitely. Now, Optimus Prime, though, there's something about his presence. Cap gives the better speeches, but Optimus Prime, I mean, he's just got this presence, and it's his voice. One will stand, one will fall. I mean, there's just something that's just inspiring about his very personhood. You know what I mean? But if I had to weigh into the debate, if I'm being dragged into debate, who gives the better speeches, I'm going to go Captain America on that one. All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm just going to take a couple quick minutes here. I'm going to stretch my legs, rest my voice for a second. We've been going over an hour already. I'm going to refill my drink, probably use the bathroom quickly, and then we'll be right back, and we're going to pick right back up and keep moving forward with today's open mic. Don't go anywhere, guys. More stuff to come. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Hang tight. right, guys, and we are back. Thank you for your indulgence as I took a couple of minutes there to refill my drink and everything. So now let's just keep pushing forward here. Oh, I'll turn the AC off because it's probably a little bit loud for you guys right now. So I'll turn the AC off. There we go. All right, let's keep on going now with your questions. All right, the next one up comes to us from Hector Jeter, who writes, "Hey, John, sorry you didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. Me too. I wish I did, but I didn't. It's okay. I really enjoyed it. I had a few issues, but I was entertained and it satisfied me. Seeing it 2 more times on Sunday with first timers, so it should be fun." I'll tell you what, the second time I watched it, here's a weird thing. The first time I watched it, I disliked it. The second time I watched it, the things I liked about it, I liked a little bit more. And the things I didn't like about it stayed the same. So overall, the second time I watched it, I didn't suddenly like it, but I disliked it a little bit less than the first time. Then when I went to go see it for the third time, the things I didn't like about it really started to bother me. I'm not sure why, but the things that I didn't like about it really started to scratch my brain a bit. But we'll go into more of that on the spoiler discussion tomorrow. But again, I think there's some real highlights in the film, and I can totally see why. And like I said, when I came out, I said, there are going to be a lot of people that like this movie. And I could just tell. You could just tell. Watch. I think there are going to be some really good things in this movie that I think are going to appeal to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people are going to like it, even though I didn't. And I'm sorry I didn't like it too. I was really hoping to enjoy it, but you know what? That's the great thing about being a movie fan, man. I didn't like this one. That's okay. There's another movie this week, and there's going to be another Star Wars movie in a couple of years, and I'll have other opportunities to like other ones. So you can't like them all, I suppose. All right. Hector Jeter also writes, hashtag justice for nerd guy. He's been banned from the Discord 3 times due to excitement from Star Wars by using cap locks and mass emojis. Can you bring him back to the Discord? The members miss him. Thanks. Well, I mean, I don't know, Hector. Here's the thing. You get warning. The Discord has automatic moderation, and it warns you to not do things that irritate other people. Like using all caps. You get a warning for that. It doesn't just out of nowhere ban you. It gives you a warning for it. And then gives you another warning for it. And if you keep getting warnings for it and you keep getting blocked, that's kind of on you. So maybe I'll look into it. I don't administrate the Discord. Fact Checker Jonathan administrates it, so I don't. But I will talk to him. But unless he's going to continue to do the things that everybody else finds irritating, but I will check with Fact Checker Jonathan and see what's going on there. All right, Harry Mudd writes, I like The Witcher. On the whole, a great show, despite a couple of uneven episodes and CGI that in some places could have been better. Yeah, here's the thing though, Harry. And again, I haven't watched The Witcher. For all I know, it'll be the best show in the world to me. It'll be the worst show in the world to me. I don't know. I am more forgiving when it comes to CGI on television. Because I understand they don't have the same budgets that movies do and all that kind of stuff for the most part. So I am more forgiving. It's okay to me if you're doing a TV, like look at the CW Arrowverse, right? The CG in those are terrible. I mean, by modern standards, but at any rate, by modern standards, they're terrible. But we just understand, okay, that's okay. I understand what they're trying to say with the story by using these visual effects, so I accept that and I move on. And for the most part, I feel that way about television. So even if there is some questionable CGI in Witcher, I'm probably going to give it a pass unless it's egregiously bad. I mean, and I don't know, maybe it is egregiously bad. I haven't seen it yet myself. All right, John McKinney writes, what is your favorite Disney and Star Wars movie? Favorite Disney movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Favorite Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi. Well, yeah, my favorite Star Wars movie is well documented, Return of the Jedi. Favorite Disney movie? It's hard not to say the original, the 1994 version of The Lion King. It's difficult not to just say that one. I don't know, like the original Beauty and the Beast is awfully magical too. Those are probably 2 of my favorites, but I'm going to go Lion King. I'm still going to stick with Lion King. It's my all-time, which is also, by the way, my all-time favorite animated movie, period, is the original Lion King, the 94 version. I really like the new Lion King as well, by the way. But that original 94 version is still my favorite animated film of all time. So I'm going to go, that is my favorite Disney movie. All right. John McKinney also writes, by the way, Frollo is my favorite Disney villain and Sidious is my favorite Star Wars villain. Both are beautifully evil. Well, listen, Sidious, also known as Palpatine. Palpatine is my wife Anne's all-time favorite Star Wars character. As a matter of fact, I can't say this because it's a spoiler for the movie. I'm just going to have to say it. Hopefully somebody remind me tomorrow on the spoiler discussion video. Somebody remind me tomorrow on the spoiler discussion video to bring up what was I going to say about Anne and Palpatine, because there's something specific I want to share with you guys that I think is pretty funny, but I can't because it would give away a spoiler, but I'll get around to that tomorrow. All right, let's see. K Major writes, my heart aches over what I just watched. So conflicted. See you Sunday, John. Lots to unload. Hey, and listen, I get it. I'm with you on that. We're getting a lot of people today saying they love the movie, which is great. A lot of people like me are saying, I wish I loved the movie, but I didn't. And there's a whole lot for us to unpack and discuss tomorrow. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I feel your pain, man. I mean, you're probably like me, feeling jealous of the other people who did like it. Like, damn it, I wish I could have been there, but I'm not, unfortunately. And look, I actually had somebody write me an email. True story. Somebody wrote me an email and said, it was fairly, not like 10 pages long, but it was a fairly long email. And was basically chastising me, not harshly, but they were basically chastising me a little bit for not saying that I liked The Rise of Skywalker. Their philosophy and logic was that, John, you love Star Wars and you support Star Wars. So coming out and telling people you didn't like this new movie isn't helping the movie. So, I mean, if you didn't hate it and you thought there were some good things about it, why not just say that you liked it to make everybody feel better about it and be more supportive of Star Wars? And they weren't being mean. They weren't being mean to me. They were going, John, you idiot. Why didn't you say that? They weren't being mean. But look, I have nothing to offer my audience. You guys know this. But in case you haven't heard me say this before, I have nothing to offer my audience other than my honest opinion. That's all I can give. I can't. Yes, I do love Star Wars. And yes, I want to be supportive of Star Wars. But when I'm communicating to my audience about what I actually thought about something, I have to give my 100% honest opinion. And I don't give two squirts of piss if somebody likes my opinion or not. And I don't give two squirts of piss if there are people who disagree with my opinion or have different opinions of me. My job is not to say what I think other people want to hear. And my job is not to convince people to think what I think. Neither of those things are my job. My job is to give my honest opinion on something and explain why that is my opinion, not to change anybody else's mind, but to give a clear picture about a different perspective than somebody else might have. That's all my job is. Give my honest opinion and be able to express it in such a way that other people will get a better understanding of why somebody might take my position on things. That's all I can do. Me giving a negative review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is in no way, shape, or form connected to my love of Star Wars or my desire to be supportive of Star Wars or my desire to see the brand of Star Wars grow and be great. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that when you put out a movie, I got to watch it and I got to tell you what I honestly thought about it. There were a lot of people, who got their little panties in a twist when I said I liked The Last Jedi. Sorry, I did. I know it has problems, and you don't have to agree with me, but I liked it. And so, since I liked it when I watched it, I have to report and I have to communicate that I liked it. I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't. And when I saw The Rise of Skywalker, I was excited, but I didn't like it. It's not my job to just say I liked it to make people happy. I got to come back to my audience and give them my honest opinion. Not so they can agree with me and not so they can disagree with me, but that's just so they can know what my thoughts on it, my personal thoughts were. Because at the end of the day, that's all I've got is my honest opinion. And sometimes me giving my honest opinion is going to make people very happy. And sometimes me giving my honest opinion is going to make some people very upset. Healthy film fans will hear my opinion whether they agree or disagree with me and just want to engage in the conversation and get different perspectives. That's what healthy fandom does. But yeah, man, I mean, I wish I liked it too. And I can totally get where you're coming from, K Major. My heart feels a little bit conflicted on it as well. I wanted to like it. There are things about it that are good. And things about it specifically, like the Finn thing, that I think is a big improvement over the previous film. But overall, I'm still conflicted. And again, we'll go more into it tomorrow. But I get where you're coming from, K Major. Anyway, Anthony Cullen writes, as a Giants fan, I'm glad Eli went out with the win. I mean, you know what? I am not a Giants fan at all. But you got to respect the type of career that Eli Manning has had. You got to respect that. And I think it's great when guys like that. And by the way, is he officially done? I don't know that he's officially done. Didn't he say he's still going to try to play next year? Didn't they say he's going to he might still try to play next year? Maybe even in a backup role somewhere? But whatever, it's good to see a guy like that who has given so much to the game get a little bit of glory there. All right, Mickey Altieri writes, how long does figuring out who gets story credits on films usually take? I saw Colin and Derek got credits for The Rise of Skywalker in the end credits, but their names aren't on any of the posters or material where they would list that stuff. That's up to the WGA. The WGA decides who gets what credits on something. So let me go over right now to Rise of Skywalker IMDb. Let's see who they're giving writing credits to on that over at IMDb right now. Writers. Okay, so currently the writers are Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams are getting the screenplay credit, and Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, Chris Terrio, and J.J. Abrams are getting the story by credit. So they're getting the smaller whatever credit, but normally on movie posters, and I'm sure there are exceptions to this. I'm sure there are several exceptions to this. But normally a movie poster won't list everybody who gets a story by credit. Normally they list who the screenplay is by. Right? And in this case, Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams have the screenplay credit. Then there are 4 people, actually 5 people, because George Lucas is included in the writing credits because it's based on his characters. So technically speaking, you have 5 people listed as story by credits. Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, Chris Terrio, J.J. Abrams, and George Lucas. Normally, they won't put all those names on poster credits. Normally, it's just the screenplay by credits. So that's probably why you see it in some places and why you don't see it in others. I don't know 100% for sure, but it seems to me that would be why you don't see it on posters, but you do see it in credits and on something like IMDb. That's my guess at any rate. All right, good question, Mickey. Good observation. Well, that's a good catch. All right, TNS93 writes, with The Rise of Skywalker, Witcher on Netflix, Runaway Season 3, and Eddie Murphy on SNL, it is a great weekend. I know, I still haven't... Listen, I love Runaways. This is how crazy busy I've been. I love Runaways. I haven't had a chance to even start watching it yet, Season 3. And it's the final season. So I haven't started. And you know, I'm not a big Saturday Night Live guy, although I do love some sketches that they do for sure, but I don't like sit down, Saturday night, I got to watch Saturday Night Live. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I'm pretty intrigued to see the return of Eddie Murphy to Saturday Night Live. I mean, you got to be at least a little bit intrigued by that, right? But yeah, I got to do Witcher, Murray and Saturday Night, and then at some point, once I get through Witcher, I got to get around to Runaway Season 3. I mean, I got to get around to that. By the way, let me bring this up. For you guys watching, you guys know, I'm sure, at least I hope most of you guys know by now, that Robert Meyer Burnett and I, our show, The Weekly Hero, is no longer on the YouTube channel. The Weekly Hero is no longer on the YouTube channel. The Weekly Hero is now a podcast that you can find on your favorite podcasting app. And that's where you can find it. So I just want to remind you guys that the Weekly Hero, we've now done a few episodes of the Weekly Hero podcast. Please, please, please do me a favor. Like everybody, even if you're not going to listen to it for another month or so, can you guys do me a favor? Can you guys go on whatever podcast app you use, go and find the Weekly Hero and subscribe and rate and comment on it, because doing that actually helps other people discover the podcast, and it's doing well. My goal was that we would debut in the top 100 because we just came out on Apple Podcasts and Google this week. We just got introduced like a few days ago is when we came out, and my goal, my hope was that we would debut in the top 100. That was my hope. That's what I was gunning for, is that we could debut the Weekly Hero in the top 100. And actually, we debuted a little bit higher than that. So let me just bring up the chart here. It's just taking a minute for the link to load. I don't know why. Did it load? Yes, it loaded. Okay, so we were hoping to debut in the top 100. And as of right now, we did. We debuted at number 62. The podcast debuted at number 62 on the charts, and the more people that subscribe and all that kind of stuff will actually help push that up. So we would love it if you guys could take a minute, go and find the Weekly Hero on your favorite podcast app, subscribe, rate, and comment, and all that kind of stuff, and it all helps the podcast. Anyway, now that plug is out of the way, getting back to this thing, I need to go and watch season 3 of the reason that came up is because I got to watch season 3 of The Runaways, because I got to be able to start talking about The Runaways on our Weekly Hero podcast. So I got to get around to watching that. All right. But you're right, T-Ness. It's a good weekend, man. All right. Gem of Gems writes, "Hey, John, I'm a fan since the AMC days. Thank you so much, man. Trapped in the AMC Trapped in the Closet days. My all-time favorite movie is George of the Jungle. I love that movie. Anyway, my questions to you are, what do you think about that movie, and what is your favorite movie? Thanks, until next time, bye-bye." Well, everybody knows my favorite movie is Star Wars. The original Star Wars trilogy, I just count as one movie. Star Wars is my favorite movie. Everybody knows that. I love George of the Jungle. Brendan Fraser, Judd Apatow. Why am I forgetting Judd Apatow's wife's name? Hold on. Hey, Google. Who is married to Judd Apatow? She's from 40 year.
Apatow has been married to Leslie Mann since
Leslie Mann.
1997.
So I love Leslie Mann. I've always liked that movie. It's not in my top 10 or top 20 or anything like that, but I have always personally really liked that George of the Jungle movie myself. It's been a while since I've watched it. I might want to go back and watch it again. All right, Harry Mudd writes, "Have you seen The First Temptation of Christ? It really has gotten religious conservatives fired up. 2 million have signed a petition demanding that Netflix removes it because it depicts Jesus as a gay man." Nope, I haven't seen it. It's a Netflix film. I mean, Netflix puts up so many movies. I've never even heard of this one, so I don't really care. Blake writes, "I just walked out of episode 9 and I feel like I did walking out of Man of Steel. Like I must have watched a different movie than everyone else. I absolutely loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be." Well, listen, you're not watching a different movie than everybody else. A lot of people are really liking this movie. So don't think you're in the minority there. Both the majority of the critics and the majority of the audience like it. And a larger majority of the audience. So don't think for a second that you walked out thinking you saw a different movie than everybody else, because a lot of people are liking it, man. And Man of Steel, love that movie. Actually, most of you guys don't see it, but I'll bring this up here. At least I'll see if I can bring this up. I'll try my best. Give me a second here. A lot of you guys don't know, but in my studio here, let me see if I can get this. I'm not sure if I can. Oh, no, I think I can. Okay, here we go. In my studio here, I'm going to grab my little webcam here, and I'll activate my webcam. But in my studio, why isn't this popping up? Oh, that's why. So in my studio here, here's the cockpit. This is me, everything I need to use and do. Over there, I have Henry Cavill in the studio, always watching over me. That's what makes me feel safe, everybody. Makes me feel safe. I've always known that no matter what's going on in the show, I've got Henry Cavill as Superman over there watching over me, protecting me, guiding me, if you will, as I do the John Campea Show. That's important. It just makes me feel safe in the giblets. You know, makes me feel safe in the giblets. I just love having Henry Cavill Superman over there watching over me. Anyway, so don't see it. You ain't in the minority, dude. You're not in the minority. Don't worry about that, Blake. All right. Donaldo Martinez writes. Let's see. There he is. Fun fact: did you know Sean Bean did the voice of Martin Septim in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion game? You know what? I can't even remember the character's name, but I believe I did know that he did a voice in that game. I believe I saw a YouTube video once about different things Sean Bean was in that you didn't realize was Sean Bean, and I think I knew that he was in that. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think I did know that. That's it. But Sean Bean's great, by the way. I love Sean Bean. All right, Marie Seafring writes, I really liked A Quiet Place. I look forward to A Quiet Place 2. The teaser trailer was intriguing, but I'm waiting to see a little more in the full trailer due New Year's Day. Do you think A Quiet Place 2 will outperform the original at the box office? Thanks. Yes, I do. For a couple reasons. One, everybody loves the original one. But number two, well, obviously not everybody. Nobody loves but a lot of people like that original. And, you know, it was a small little movie. The original didn't do, I mean, for how much it cost. Hold on a second. A Quiet Place box office. It didn't make tons of money. Like worldwide, well, actually it did make a hell of a lot of money. Actually, it made $340 million on a very small budget. Like I think it was like $15 million. Where is it? Well, Box Office Mojo says it was $17 million. So fine. $340 million on a $70 million budget. I do think this, now remember, I'm saying this, Marie, having not seen the movie. For all I know, A Quiet Place 2 is a bad movie and is going to get bad word of mouth and people will avoid it. I don't know. If A Quiet Place 2 can be as good as the first one, I do think it will outperform the first one. But again, that's saying that without having seen the movie myself and without actually knowing if the movie's any good or not. So that'll have a big thing to do with it. But generally and in principle, yes, I do believe it can outperform. I believe it can outperform. Not necessarily that it will, not till I see it, but I think it can outperform the first one. Russell Amador writes, Hey, John, with 2019 all but done, would you be able to tell me one of your anticipated movies for 2020? I guess at this point, mine would be Tenet. I mean, my head is so wrapped into what's going on right now. There we go. My head is so wrapped around my end of the year stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to Mulan. I'm definitely looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984. Quiet Place. You know what? Quiet Place 2 might be my most anticipated movie of 2020. Yeah. I mean, No Time to Die ranks right up there. With every trailer I see of Mulan, I'm getting more and more excited for that movie. I think that movie looks spectacular, so I'm getting really excited about that one. Top Gun looks great. Yeah. I think right now I'm going to say A Quiet Place 2, just because to me, the first A Quiet Place was the best movie of the year. So yeah, right now I'm going to lean, I might change my mind, but right now I'm going to lean towards A Quiet Place 2. Tenet obviously is way up there as well, especially after watching the trailer. Trailer looks great, but I'm going to go for Quiet Place 2 right now. Let's see here. Harry Mudd writes, I just remembered The Land Before Time. What a sweet animated movie. So many good moments and heart-wrenching ones too. You know, it is crazy. Because I remember back in the day when I was much younger and Land Before Time came out, I remember thinking, man, that was a nice little movie. If you had asked me if decades later, it would be like remember so fondly by so many people. I never would have thought that. But it really, you bring up A Land Before Time, I'm telling you what, people love that movie. And I mean, again, I enjoyed it. Actually, what year? Hey, Google, what year did A Land Before Time come out? See what Google's.
A Land Before Time was released in the United States of America on November 18th, 1988.
88, 30 years ago. Over 30 years ago. I never would have thought that it would still be as beloved, as talked about, as cherished as it is. But it really is. You bring that up with a lot of people and go, oh, like they really do like it that much. I'm glad you treasure that movie, man. Thanks for bringing it up. All right. Eric DeRiggi writes, currently in a 1:30 showing of Star Wars Episode 9, it's now 2. The movie is finally beginning because of trailers. Again, it's ridiculous. If they tell you a movie starts at a certain time, they should not show you a half hour of commercials unless it's a free screening. If it's a free screening and say, hey guys, all you got to do to get this free screening is just, watch a bunch of ads for a half hour. Okay, that's fair. You paid to be there. It should not be a half hour. Again, I love trailers. Love trailers. Shouldn't be a half hour of thing. Oh, that's unfortunate, Eric. All right, Harry Mudd writes, Anthony Hopkins is such an amazing actor with a real wide range. Vampire hunter, serial killer, pope, author, or God. Of course, he's in a big movie right now as a pope. There is something about Anthony Hopkins, whether you're talking about Meet Joe Black, or you're talking about being Odin Allfather, you're talking about Silence of the Lambs, or you're talking about whatever he's in. By the way, he's in a great rendition about... what was the title of it? It's Something Lands. Something Lands. Oh, it's a movie in which he plays, not J.R.R. Tolkien, he plays C.S. Lewis. Also, this is going to kill me until I bring it up. Movies about C.S. Lewis. What was it called again? Shadowlands. That was it. Shadowlands. Love Shadowlands. I knew it was Something Lands. What is it? Shadowlands is a wonderful and underappreciated movie. By the way, like C.S. Lewis, he's the guy who wrote the Narnia trilogies, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and all that kind of stuff. But he played wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do. But he is one of the greatest of all time. Hopkins has got to be in that pantheon. Like if you were to create a pantheon, a 30-seat pantheon of the greatest actors of all time, I got to believe that Anthony Hopkins has to have one of those seats. I just got to believe that he does. Anyway, Harry Mudd also writes, watching The Two Popes, quite interesting movie based on true events about the friendship between Ratzinger and Bergoglio. I can't pronounce it. Again, getting lots of Oscar buzz. And it's not even Hopkins, who is brilliant. It's not even Hopkins who's getting the Academy Award nomination buzz, by the way. So that's an interesting thing, too. But I'm a sucker for these true life movies. CO2 writes, what's your favorite Game of Thrones episode? Whoo, mine is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. That one is great. That's great. Everybody got soup. Now, was that episode 1 of season 8? Hold on a second. Let me bring this up here. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms episode. Was that episode 1 or episode 2? It was the second episode of the 8th season of Game of Thrones. That episode is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. But oh my God, there were a couple episodes in season 7. I don't know that I can sit here and pull out my one favorite episode of Game of Thrones. I am a little bit different from some people. I thought, and suck on this, I loved season 8. I thought season 8 was great. I do feel like it was rushed. There was simply no excuse for them to make season 7 and season 8 as short as they did. There's no excuse for it. That being said, I know there were a bunch of people that got all upset about the ending of Game of Thrones. I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful. And what happened is exactly what I told everybody was going to happen for years. I told everybody for years. They're making it obvious. This is what's going to happen. And nobody believed me. Nobody believed me. And then they acted all shocked and surprised that it happens. Like, come on. And it wasn't just me. There were other people saying, guys, look, Danny is clearly a jerk. You've been able to see it since season 3. She is clearly a jerk. Danny is all about Danny. Danny comes across as doing some really good selfless things, but only when it serves Daenerys to do it. And when that doesn't serve her, she does a real jerk thing. Or says a real jerk thing. And I'm telling you guys, this girl's rotten. And everybody got mad at me. Everybody got mad at me. But anyway, I thought season 8 was great. I thought season 7 was brilliant. I thought season 7 was brilliant. But I can't pull off the top of my head what is my absolute favorite episode. But that Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that was a really good episode. That was a really good episode too. All right. Harry Mudd writes, oops, I meant watched. Oh, I can't. Watch. Oh, no problem, Harry. I got what you meant there, buddy. I got what you meant there, but thanks for following up just in case. Matt Thornton writes, have you seen the Harley Quinn TV series? Nah, I have very little interest. Kaylee Kuko is fantastic as Harley Quinn, right up there with Arlene Sorkin and Tara Strong. Nah, I'm not interested. I honestly, I thought the trailers and the previews look stupid. And I generally don't like... There's very, very few. There are a few exceptions, but there's very, very few animated Marvel or animated DC things that I enjoy. And nothing about the Harley Quinn thing looked even remotely appealing to me. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not good, because I didn't see it. I can't say it's not good. I haven't seen it. But I do know that, I live in a world right now where I've got so little time to watch a lot of TV. I haven't started watching Witcher. I haven't started watching Runaways yet. That we've already been talking about those. There's so much stuff. I just watched episode 1, finally, of season 4 of The Expanse, and I really want to get caught up on The Expanse. I love that show. But I've got all this stuff that I do want to watch, and I don't have time for. I'm not going to use some of my time to watch something I'm not interested in. So I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad you like it. That's great if you're enjoying it, but it just didn't look appealing to me. And honestly, most Marvel and DC, again, there are exceptions. But most of Marvel and DC's animated stuff, I really don't find very interesting. So who knows? Maybe someday it'll be like midnight on a Thursday and I don't have to work on Friday and I can't sleep and I might as well put something on, then maybe I'll get around to watching it. But right now it's really not something that interests me, unfortunately. But I'm glad you're enjoying it, Matt. I am. All right. Jimmy Anderson writes, hey, John, I'm kind of worried about the sequel to A Quiet Place. I love that movie and the ending was really heartbreaking yet so nice. Do we really need another movie? Well, Jimmy, what I will say to that is what I always say to all things. No movie is ever needed. There's never been a movie in the history of cinema that we have needed. Never happened. Not one single one. Not even Star Wars. We did not need Star Wars. We didn't need Empire. We didn't need Return of the Jedi. We didn't need the Lord of the Rings movies. We didn't need Star Trek. We don't need another James Bond movie. We don't need another this movie or that movie. There's never been a time in the human history that we've needed a movie. That said, the question is, when approaching, did we need whatever? The question becomes, though, is there someplace interesting to go with it? And the only people who can really answer that question initially are the filmmakers. Is there a good idea with an interesting place they can go with the story that makes it worthwhile, at least in their estimation, to do another one because we believe this one could be as good or better as the previous? They can be right or wrong, but do they at least think they have an idea for a movie on their hands that could be as good or better than the previous one? And if they think they've got the right movie and they've got the right idea, like for instance, did we need Toy Story 4? Absolutely not. We did not need Toy Story 4. We just didn't. But the brain trust at Pixar came up with an idea. And they loved the idea. And they thought the idea would make a good movie. And they thought that the idea would make a good movie that the audience would enjoy. And so they went ahead and make Toy Story 4. And oh my God, I'm so glad they did, because that movie is awesome. It's not the best Toy Story movie, but it's great. And I love Toy Story 4. I ate that movie up. Did we need an Incredibles 2? No. There was no dangling thread. I mean, the Underminer thing at the end of the first one was just a little tease. I mean, there was no dangling thread. They finished that movie. Did we need another Incredibles movie? No. But they made one, and I'm so glad they did because it's awesome. So, do we need another Quiet Place? No. Just like any other movie, we don't. But if they got the idea and they think people are going to like it and they think they've got a cool place to go with it, then I'm all for it. Now, if the movie's good, great, we've got another good movie. If it's bad, oh well, we still have the original Quiet Place and everything's still good. So, do we need it? Nope, but we've never needed any movie. So I'm glad they're making another one because I love this world they created. And I think there's a lot of different directions they could go with it. So I for one, am very, very curious to see where this thing goes. All right. CO2 writes, I really like your show. Oh, thank you so much, CO2. I appreciate that. It's always nice when somebody just wants to write in and say something nice. Thank you for that, CO2, and thank you for supporting the show, man. All right. Harry Mudd writes, Daisy could become a very good character in a few years with a few more movies under her belt, preferably different kind of movies. Or a very good actor in a few. Oh, I will say I think she's pretty good right now. The thing that holds me back from saying that Daisy Ridley is a great actress right now is that I simply haven't seen her in enough. There's just too small of a sample size right now with Daisy Ridley. Like, she was in Murder on the Orient Express, but there really wasn't a lot for her to do in that movie. And I simply can't watch that role and say whether the person acting in that role is doing a great job or not a great job. You know what I mean? There's just too small of a sample size right now. I see a lot of potential in her. She might be a great actress right now. I just haven't seen enough of her to say that. She might be a terrible actress right now. I mean, I like her in the Star Wars movies. I think she does a very, very good job as Rey. But I can't really say whether somebody's a great actor or not based on one role. Because too many times I've seen a movie where somebody's great in one role, and as soon as I see them try to play something else, they're terrible. So now, these days, I try to give it a few movies, and I just don't know if they have the sample size yet. But it's going to be interesting to see where Daisy Ridley's career goes post-Star Wars. It will be interesting to see where it goes from here. Harry Mudd writes, that's like your opinion, man, the dude. Yep. That's all it is when it comes to movies, dude. It's just opinions. Jeff Bridges would totally agree. All right. John McKinney writes, 90s Spider-Man cartoon, better than the live-action Spider-Man films. Did you not already send that in once? I think you did. Spider-Man cartoon, greater than the Spider-Man live. Again, I completely wholeheartedly disagree, but that's the beautiful thing about art is we can have different opinions. Spider-Man 1 to 2002 is the only live-action Spider-Man movie that worked for me to each their own. So, and again, we've already gone into this. We've already answered that. But again, it just highlights, again, the beauty of the subjectivity of film is we can all look at art and look at it in different ways. DC Marvel writes, did you watch The Witcher on Netflix? Not yet. Not yet. I'm hoping to get around to that today. Nehemiah Brumfield writes, 57% Man of Steel 2 should be made. 57% Man of Steel 2 should be made. Warner Brothers, what are you doing? Well, here's the thing. Warner Brothers made a great Superman movie. And the audience was divided on it. And it did okay at the box office, but it could have done and should have done better. And then they had that Superman in Batman vs. Superman, very divisive, underperformed. Then they had that Superman in Justice League, very divisive, underperformed. I like all three movies personally, but Warner Brothers is thinking, we made great Superman movies and the audience didn't support it the way we feel that Superman deserves, so we're going to try something else. That's what they're thinking. And listen, Nima, I want them to make another one. You know I do. I mean, look, just to highlight again here, but where is he? Oh, there it is. For sure, I want. Where'd he go? There he is. I want another Man of Steel. Oh hell yes, I want another Man of Steel. You know that I do. But at the same time, you've got to be rational and go, okay, let's try to look at it from Warner Brothers' point of view. It's not like they made a crappy movie and people didn't support it. Then they could just go, oh, let's just make sure we make a better one next time. They made a great Superman movie in Man of Steel, and it divided the audience. And then they continue to have problems with them. So honestly, what are they thinking? Warner Brothers is thinking, we tried it and it didn't work. That's what they're thinking. Now, you and I can agree or disagree with them, but that's kind of where they're at right now. God, I would love another one, though. I would love another one. All right. Call of Duty God writes, just saw The Rise of Skywalker and had a fantastic time and was thrilled with it. Force Awakens was okay, but I despised The Last Jedi, and it redeemed what The Last Jedi did to me. John, you hope that you have a great time when you see a movie, and I did. I mean, that's all you can hope for. All you can hope for is like you go into every movie. There are some losers who go when a movie's coming out, hope that a movie is bad. I'll never understand that pathetic mentality. But you go into a movie and you hope it's good. And you hope other people like it too. And I went in that way with The Rise of Skywalker. And unfortunately, I didn't. And that's okay. That's okay. I am glad that you did, though. I'm super glad that you did. And I'll look forward to hearing more from you guys as we get into the spoiler stuff tomorrow. To hear about why specifically you liked it and the things you really did enjoy about it. I'll get to talk about the things I enjoyed about it. And I'll talk, obviously, about the things that made me not like the film. But the best part, though, is I'm really happy to see, despite the fact that I myself was not a big fan of the movie, despite that, I got to say I'm very, very happy. It makes me really happy to see that other people are enjoying it. And that makes my heart happy. I mean, I didn't, and I wish I did, and I'll be jealous of all you guys who did because I wish I was with you. But I am legitimately it thrills me to know that other people are having a good time and other people are enjoying it. So there's that. All right, and I'm glad you liked it, Call of Duty. All right, John McKinney writes, my favorite Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi. Me too, sir. My favorite Disney movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Did we not already answer that? I thought we answered that exact same thing. Anyway, yep, Return of the Jedi is mine. Favorite Disney movie, once again, is Lion King. So there's that. All right, Carlos Portillo writes, just finished The Witcher. Hopefully, no. Okay. I was instantly hooked, was hoping to take the series bit by bit, and now I want more. I love this world, and Henry's supporting cast is just as good and well written, especially Yennefer. Much love, John. I cannot wait to see this. By the way, the one thing, this raises an interesting thing. I am more and more starting to prefer the week-to-week release of episodes over binge dumping. Because with Mandalorian, all of us are as fans are able to watch them together, right? One episode comes out, we're all watching one episode, and we're all caught up. And we can talk about it all week and discuss it and fanboy over it and do all this kind of stuff. Then next week, another episode drops and we all watch it together. And now we're all caught up together and we talk about that episode and where are we going from here? And then the following week, another episode. The Mandalorian debuted almost 2 months ago. Almost 2 months ago, The Mandalorian debuted. And we are still talking about it, excited about it, chatting about it. Want to know something that's real harsh reality? A week from now, no one's going to be talking about The Witcher. A week, 10 days from now, nobody's talking about The Witcher anymore. Why? Because a lot of people are going to be like me and you, Carlos, where it's there, it's dropped, and we'll watch all of it in 1 or 2 sittings. We'll watch it all in 2 or 3 days. Now, nobody's on the same page. Nobody's watching it bit by bit. We can't have ongoing conversations. There's no talking about it next week because now it's in our rearview mirror. Now we've moved on to the next thing. And as a fan, I'm just finding more and more, and Mandalorian has really re-emphasized this for me because I've always understood the wisdom of releasing week to week, but I'm starting to think that as a fan, I might actually prefer it. And I never thought that before. Because before I'm like, no, I prefer them dropping it all at once, but I can understand the wisdom of releasing it week to week. But even that opinion of mine is starting to change because I'm seeing the way all of us are being able to enjoy and talk about Mandalorian week by week by week by week and having this ongoing conversation, talking about it, seeing where it's going, speculating, blah, blah, and really being able to engage with it and have fun with it. Whereas like, okay, Witcher's dropped, but now a bunch of you guys have already seen the whole series, right? I haven't even seen episode 1. We can't have ongoing fun fan discussions about it week after week after week after week because it's done, and 10 days from now, no one's going to be talking about it. So I'm finding Mandalorian has really started to shift my opinion of being, I understand the wisdom of week-to-week releases, where now I'm starting to feel like, as a fan, I want them to release it week to week because I want to be able to fan out with my fellow fans for months over this thing instead of just having one quick conversation about it. Now we move on to the next thing that binges. So I don't know. Maybe I'll feel differently about that a few weeks from now. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel differently about it. But with a show like The Witcher, I'm finding myself wishing it was doing it the way that Mandalorian was doing it. I wish they kind of dropped one episode and then we could all watch it and all talk about it and give everybody a full week to get caught up on that one episode. And then we're all on the same page and we're all talking about, and then the second episode drops. And, you know, Mandalorian has been such a fun experience for fans as a fan community. I've found The Mandalorian to be such a fun experience as a fan community that I'm kind of wishing more shows would do it that way. Watchmen is another great example of that, right? We've gone week to week to week, and we talked about Watchmen for 2 months. And we've been watching it together and experiencing it together, as opposed to if HBO just dropped it all at once, then the conversation's done. The conversation's over. You know what I mean, Carlos? So you talking about how great The Witcher has been is really just making me wish that we as a fan community could have enjoyed it over the span of weeks and weeks and weeks, going episode by episode together and being able to talk about each episode as we go. But we can't do that because, you know, a lot of people like you and me are going to just sit down and watch it all in one sitting. And now we are where we are. Anyway, by the way, Carlos, that was a really generous tip you sent in. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, man. We really appreciate that. But yeah, that's just an interesting little side note. Just an interesting side note. Maybe I'll feel differently about it a few weeks from now. We'll have to wait and see. All right, Ryan Hewitt writes, 10-year-old next to me started crying at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. Really cool to see that this era of Star Wars will resonate with her and this age group. Looking forward to your spoiler talk. You know, that's one of the interesting things, Ryan, because you got to understand that these new Star Wars films are the first exposure for a new generation of audiences. Think whatever you want about the new Star Wars films. That's the reality. Just like people like me who really dislike the prequels, I've got to keep in mind, and other people like me need to keep in mind, that was the first exposure to Star Wars for another generation of people. And, you know, I may think the prequels are crappy, but the reality is there's a lot of people that grew up with those Star Wars movies, those prequel movies. And for them, that was their first exposure to Star Wars, and they treasure it, and it's valuable to them, and they really love those films. And I think it's really important that we keep that in mind. And I think you're absolutely right, man. Ryan, you raised a really good point, that this trilogy of films is going to be that for a whole new generation of audiences. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, we can debate that 7 years from now, but that's what it is. And I think a lot of people need to keep that in mind. So that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that, man. All right, Suthius writes, the John Campea Show 2018, 1 hour, 2019, 2.5 hours, 2020, 5 hours. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. I like listening to particularly sports talk radio when I'm in the car, right? I either listen to podcasts or I listen to sports talk radio. I don't listen to a lot of music in the car. So it's either always podcasts, sports radio, or audio novels, right? Very rarely will it be music. Sometimes it'll be music. But you know, some of my favorite sports talk radio shows are 3 hours, 4 hours long. Right? And I've kind of been adjusting the way I see things about, you know, maybe I should approach the John Campea Show. You know what? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of inside baseball here. Okay. Maybe some of you will find this boring, but let me give you a little bit of inside baseball on this. In 2019, this year that we're about to exit, I went through an evolution in how I viewed the John Campea Show. it may seem like a little thing, but it was actually a fundamental shift in my thinking. You see, I always looked, prior to 2019, I always kind of looked at the John Campea Show like a ESPN show. And my show today still maintains, in my DNA, it's a sports center for film fans. That's still in the DNA of how I view my show. But I also practically tried to execute it like an ESPN show. In 2019, a friend of mine made a comment to me that really fundamentally altered how I viewed my show. And what they said to me was this. They said, John, your stream really is more like a Twitch stream. Your show is really more like a Twitch stream than it is about anything else. Because a lot of these other channels and everything, they do the pre-recorded stuff. It's 15 minutes, it's 5 minutes, it's whatever, however long their stuff is. And it's awesome. It's fantastic. There's great, fantastic stuff out here on YouTube. But they said, really, your show is really more like a Twitch stream. The only thing is, instead of people tuning in, watching you play a video game, they're tuning in like a Twitch stream to hear talk about movies. And I remember when they said that to me, at first I kind of brushed it off, but immediately yo-yoed back into my head. I'm like, actually, you know what? They're right. And ever since then, I've been kind of looking at the John Campea Show more in terms of either a Twitch stream or a morning sports radio talk show where, you know what? We can just all come in here. I'm not doing some big presentation. I'm not doing a big presentation. What I'm doing is I'm giving us all as a community a place where we can just get together for a couple of hours every day to talk about our favorite things, movies. And in that way, it really is kind of more like a morning radio show or like really more like a Twitch stream than anything else. So to me in my head, so that's kind of an evolution that has gone through this year. So in my head, it's still, at its DNA, it's an ESPN sports center for film fans. But how it's practically executed has become more, I've been taking the mentality of a morning radio show or that of a Twitch stream, right? And the only difference is instead of watching me badly play a video game, we're all watching together as we talk about movies. And as I started to accept that, I started to feel a little bit better about the longer and longer running time of the show. So I don't want it to get to 5 hours because I simply will not survive that, Suthius. I will simply not survive. But, we've started tipping 2.5 hours on a lot of shows sometimes. And you know what? I'm okay with that. As long as I can rest my voice, as long as I can have other people that save my voice is always my number one concern because my throat is always dead by the time I finish these long shows. But as long as I can do that, I think we're going to be okay. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up, man. All right, Swimmy writes, biggest problem with the new trilogy, lack of roadmap, direction, and vision going into it. That's on Kathleen Kennedy. It's ultimately why The Rise of Skywalker is a mess. But again, Swimmy, you thought it was a mess. I don't like it. But as we've seen in this very live stream, a lot of people love it. A lot of people love this movie. Here's an interesting thing, though. A lot of people, we are, as film fans, we are inherently contradictory of ourselves all the time, right? On the one hand, we as film fans go, don't interfere with the director's vision. You studios stay out of what the director wants to do. You let the director make their movie the way they want to do it. Don't interfere. Let them do their thing. Okay. But then at the same time, we've got a lot of people, and you're not alone, Swimmy. A lot of people have had this opinion, and I, to some degree, share it. So while on the one hand, we got all these film fans always yelling, studios, don't interfere. Respect the director. Respect the director with their artistic vision to come in and make their movie the way they want to do it, and you don't interfere with their... Okay, but then at the same time, we'll get mad at Lucasfilm and go, You should have had a roadmap in place to instruct the directors of which way to take the movies and blah, 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 blah. But we are completely contradicting ourselves. On the one hand, we're saying every movie should be totally free for the director to be the artist to make whatever movie they want to make. But then at the other hand, we're going, no, the studio should have a roadmap of which way they should go so the directors can step in and take the movie in that direction with the studio's roadmap. But those are two conflicting statements. I, for one, believe in the Kevin Feige approach. I believe you do not just bring in a director and tell the director do whatever you want to do. That is not how you do things. I believe in the Kevin Feige approach. Kevin Feige has a roadmap of where he wants the MCU to go. And if you're a new director and you want to do something totally different, bye-bye, because you're either following Kevin Feige's roadmap or you're gone. But what Kevin Feige does is, here's where we need this movie to go. And you need to hit this road post, and you need to hit this road post, and you need to hit this road post. You can't do this, this, or this. And it'd be good if you made sure you also threw in this and this. Now, there's your parameters. As long as you hit those targets and avoid those targets I'm telling you to avoid, you go ahead and make your movie around that and do what you'd like to do within those, as long as you hit those targets and avoid those other ones that I said to avoid. Now go make your movie with those things in mind. So there's a good mixture there. Like, everybody says studios shouldn't interfere with the filmmakers. Guess what? Kevin Feige is the ultimate studio interference. I mean, nobody likes to say it, but it's true. Kevin Feige is the living representation of studio interference. Because he's the studio. Kevin Feige isn't the creative director. Kevin Feige's the studio. He is the president of the studio. And he interferes in every single one of his movies, and that's a good thing. He gives the directors a lot of freedom, but he also gives them some limitations to make sure that the overall vision of the direction they want to go is held. And I think that's the way to go. And whether or not the new trilogy succeeded at that or failed at that is going to be up to each individual film fan to say whether they liked what they did or they didn't. Because whereas, I didn't like this new movie and Swimmy, you thought Rise of Skywalker was a mess, we've seen in this very live stream today, there are a lot of fans who really, really like it. So did they fail at that? I don't know. It's going to be up to history to decide, my friend. It's going to be up to history to decide. All right. Dapper Dave 527 writes, I have a suggestion on the Joker sequel. In the comics, there is the three Joker concept. What if the next movie is a new origin story he tells, and after the third movie, we have to decide which origin story is true? That's a great example, Dapper Dave, of there being things in comics you can do on the comic page, but that would not work on the big screen. I don't think audiences would remotely accept that. Not at all. This is not, you got to remember, guys, the comic books are different from the movies. They're two different things. They are two totally different things. The movie Civil War was inspired by the Civil War comic, and it's kind of modeled after the Civil War comic, but it is so radically different from the Civil War comic story that you almost could have given it a different title if you wanted to. This Joker that we got with Joaquin Phoenix is not the comic book Joker. We just got to accept that. The Joaquin Phoenix Joker we got in this movie, which was brilliant, it's based on the comic book character and all this kind of stuff, but it is not the comic book Joker. It's brilliant, it's going to be nominated for Best Picture, and Joaquin Phoenix is going to get nominated for Best Actor. All deservedly so. So no, I personally don't feel like then going into the comics and pulling a comic trope about Joker and trying to apply it to this Joker. I don't think that works. Now, Todd Phillips could try it, and maybe he finds a brilliant way to make it work. That's possible. But on the outside looking in, I don't think it would be a safe bet. I don't think it would be a safe bet to do that. But I don't know, maybe you guys disagree with me. Jump on down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. All right, next up, Alex Spur writes, I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith in the theater, and I didn't know Anakin Skywalker was going to turn into Darth Vader. So it was a big twist to me. All my friends made fun of me, but I was amazed. Well, hey, listen. Hey, look, Not everybody can know everything. It is weird to think, even back when Revenge of the Sith came out, that not everybody knew that Anakin Skywalker turned into Darth Vader. But I suppose there had to be some people. So, hey, you were one of those people. And actually, Alex, look at it this way. You got to experience that movie in such a way that the vast majority of other people on the planet didn't get to experience it. You got to experience something that most people on the planet could not experience that. Most people on the planet could not watch that movie and then be surprised by the outcome of Anakin turning into Darth Vader. But you did. And on that level, you're actually kind of lucky. You're kind of lucky you had that experience. But are you telling me even with the poster of The Force Awakens or of the Phantom Menace, of little Anakin Skywalker with the shadow being cast as that shadow of Darth Vader, that didn't give it away to you? Really? Like you were totally cold on that? Well, if you were, Alex, then you're a lucky son of a bitch, because most of us did not get to have that experience. All right. Black Rice 19 writes, I just saw Cats, out of body experience. Horrible. Again, it's gone for. I can't wait to see it. To now, I think I'm going to avoid it. To now, is it so bad that I've got to see it? I'm thinking about it, Black Rice. John McKinney writes, Esmeralda, Jessica Rabbit, Kim Possible, Eliza Maza, Trudy Proud, and Penny Proud are the hottest Disney females. God, I feel embarrassed. You know, it reminds me of a lyric in a song by the great Canadian band Bare Naked Ladies called, what was the actual name of the song? I can't remember the phrase. It's been a week since you looked at me. Toss your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 weeks since left you said you just what I thought you were going to do. Anyway, there's a great line in that song, for those of you who know the song, that say, ooh, anime babes, they make me think the wrong thing. So there's a line in that song. So your little comment there just reminded me of that lyric in that song, anime babes, they make me think the wrong thing. So there you go. Reminds me of that. Yeah, Esmeralda, particularly in Hunchback of Notre Dame, there's even a song from the villain that is burning in his desire for Esmeralda. I mean, it's really kind of that. But yep, they draw some hot ones. They really, really do. See just sent in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, See Joseph Sorty writes, The Rise of Skywalker was John Williams' final film. What are some of your favorites by arguably the world's most famous film composer? Well, he is the GOAT. I mean, there's nothing. Look, I get it. Some people really like Hans Zimmer, and he's great. Some people really like Danny Elfman, and he's great. Some people are really getting into Michael Giacchino, and he's great. The greatest of all time is John Williams. There's a reason he's been nominated for 53 Academy Awards. Record's never going to be touched. But, you know, every single most memorable movie score ever is John Williams. Whether it's the Superman thing, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Jaws, I mean, on and on, Harry Potter, blah, it's John Williams. He is the best at this particular craft. The absolute best. And, you know, one of the great things about, one of the very good things about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is the music. John Williams did such a great job on the music of this movie. I thought the music is wonderful. And it's actually, you know, my wife, Anne, after we walked out of the premiere, Anne, who wasn't thrilled with the movie, but Anne said, John, this is what my wife said. It's a great quote. She goes, John Williams composed the shit out of that movie. I'm like, he really did. And every time I've gone back, I've seen it three times now. Every time I've gone in to watch it, I'm just even more and more impressed by the job John Williams did with it. I really, really am. And that was definitely one of the highlights. Definitely one of the highlights of it. What are some of your favorites? I mean, obviously, look, there's the Superman theme was one of the greatest of all time. The Indiana Jones theme was one of the greatest. I'm not a huge Potterhead, but his music in Harry Potter is absolutely incredible. And Jaws or Jurassic Park or on and on and on. I mean, it's just too big of a list, Joseph. Just too big of a list. But he did such a good job on Rise of Skywalker. He really did. All right, Extant Crab writes, saw The Rise of Skywalker 2 days ago, and I'm still not sure whether I enjoyed it or not. And not surprising. That's honestly, that's not surprising because, again, I didn't like it, but there are certain things about it that I thought they did really well. I was just talked about a couple of them. Finn was a big improvement. John Williams did a great job with the music on this one. That's a big highlight. The action is good. The humor, I think the humor of the movie is right on point. I really do. I think that is probably the strongest element of this particular Star Wars movie was the humor. I think the humor probably worked more in this movie than any of the other sequel trilogy. So that's a good. So I totally get it. I can totally understand why you come out still not sure. And you know what? You may see the movie extant 2 or 3 more times and still not be sure. You still might not be sure if you liked it or not. I mean, that's the kind of movie I think it is. Anyway, Simon writes, I am down for the cause, requesting theaters to announce actual movie start time. I went to see The Rise of Skywalker last night for Experience IMAX at AMC, long IMAX preview of Tenet, 3 Disney previews, Top Gun. Yeah, dude, I feel your pain. Look, it's again, it's just got to the point. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have trailers. I love trailers. And I'm not saying that if you say the show starts at 6, it must immediately start at 6. But once you get beyond 10 minutes, like once a movie's no longer just not only is it not starting at 6, it's like 6:15 and the movie still hasn't started. You got to take on the responsibility, movie theaters, of telling the audience when the movie actually starts. Is that too much to ask? You want to say 6 p.m. showtime, movie time, 6:35. Then go nuts. You want to show 5 hours of trailers? You go nuts as long as you tell me what time the movie starts. This is not unreasonable. We are fucking paying you money to be in that theater. We didn't pay you money so we could come watch your ads. We paid you money to come and watch the movie. Tell us when the movie starts. That's all. That's all. Am I being a raving lunatic for thinking that's reasonable? Am I being unreasonable for thinking that? Just tell us when the damn movie starts. That's all. You want to have 10 other things? Fine. Just tell us when the movie starts. You owe us that. You owe us that. If we're paying you to be there, you damn well owe us that. Anyway, sorry you had that experience, Simon. ZMG Ruler writes, why can't Anne find a job in Canada? Oh, I'm sure she could. But Anne right now has a brilliant, wonderful, growing career at one of the biggest brands in the world at Hasbro. I mean, you don't just get up and leave that to go find another gig somewhere else. I mean, it's a serious career path she has, and she's already been promoted there several times. And it ain't something. Listen, I want to go back to Canada. At some point, we are going to move back to Canada. But right now, she's in the middle of some really good stuff that's happening at Hasbro and that's happening for her and her career. So I'm not about to make her uproot and move. Like, what kind of husband would I be if I did that? No way. She's got something really good going on right now. And so at least for the foreseeable future, that's where we're going to be. All right. Edgar Navarro writes, new show idea, the John Campea Therapy Show. You've listened to our personal problems. Now you can vent to us and we'll tip and send super chat you our advice. Like, that goes back earlier to the struggles, the first world problem struggles I've been having about not being able to afford a home, not being able to afford a house where we live. It's infuriating. So maybe I should just do a show called John Talks About His Problems, and I'll talk about all my problems and woes, and you guys can write in and make me feel better about them or give me your advice. I love the idea, Edgar. Maybe I'll have to do that. Michael Jones sends in a really large super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. He writes, hey, John, I am so glad I subscribed to your channel. I am too, Michael. Thank you for subscribing. I love your knowledge on movies. I just hate other sites be hating on you. I think they're just jealous of you. Keep up the excellent work. Well, here's the thing. I've never understood why, like, one of the things you'll notice about my channel, I don't talk about other channels. I'll talk about the habits that like bunches of channels may have all at the same time, but I never call out any one channel. And the one thing I did, I mean, I used to, and I realized that's not what I want to do, and that's not what I want to be. So I don't talk about other channels because I don't have my channel to talk about other channels. there's something bottom of the barrel about using your YouTube channel to be nothing but a place to talk about other YouTube channels. I don't know. There's something gross about that to me. But for whatever reason, and by the way, I am a nobody. I've had some pretty decent jobs and everything, but I'm a nobody, right? I'm just some Canadian kid who happens to live in LA, and I started a YouTube channel to talk about movies. But at the end of the day, I'm a nobody, and that's totally cool. I'm very comfortable being that. Why? And it always strikes me as odd that, like, when I have an opinion about something that some weak-minded idiot out there doesn't agree with, and they feel threatened by the fact that I have an opinion that doesn't line up with theirs. First of all, they have no need to feel threatened by that. I don't know why they do. But it's always surprised me, it never ceases to surprise me, that I am so important. I am so important in their eyes that they need to use their YouTube experience to talk about me. And I've never understood that. I've never understood that. It's like, really? I'm so important that you need to take up your time and your YouTube experience and your audience's time to talk about me? Really? I'm flattered. I am so important. I take up so much of your thinking, and I take up so much of your mind, and I take up so much of your day. And you're thinking about me so much, and you think I'm so important that you need to make videos, because you're not good enough to make videos talking about actual content, but you got to make videos talking about me. Okay. I mean, that's fine. Anybody can talk about whatever they want. That's fine, I guess. But while I may be important enough in their eyes that they need to talk about me, they are not important enough for me to talk about them. I don't spend my time on my channel talking about other YouTube channels. That's not what I'm here to do. I am here to talk about the things I love. I'm here to talk about movies, even when they're movies I don't like. I am here to talk about movies and TV and our shared love of the art of storytelling. That's why my channel exists. Why other people have their channel exist is up to them. And they're totally free to do whatever they want to do. And that's totally cool. And if they want to put me on a pedestal, so be it. I'm a nobody from Canada. And if the only way somebody else can get clicks or likes or whatever is to try to talk about other YouTube channels, hey, if you got a feed on the bottom to feed, you do what you need to do to feed. So do your thing. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I've just never understood that mentality. I've never understood that mentality. So yeah, if you want to think that I'm so important that you need to talk about me, that's cool. I just hope that you're cool with knowing that you're just not important enough to me for me to talk about you. Just, that's cool. But I've never understood it. And by the way, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't really bother me. And by the way, I know there have been people. I had one particular, this never happens. This never happens. I had one particular YouTube channel that used to rip on me all the time. And then they stopped. And about a year later, and I'm not going to call them out here, but full kudos to them. They actually wrote me an email like a year later or something like that saying, you know what? They wrote to me and they actually apologized. They actually wrote that, and that never happens. That never happens. But actually wrote to me and apologized. And I'm not going to go into all the details of what it is they wrote. But yeah, it's just something about the YouTube space that I just find really weird. I just, and it's not even just in movie and TV show spaces. It's other spaces too. Like I see so many YouTube channels that they simply exist to talk about other YouTube channels. Whether it's in the gaming world or whether it's in the tech world or whether it's in the automotive world or whether it's all the different niches and worlds, the makeup tutorial world or whatever. I just never cease to be amazed about how many channels simply exist so they can talk about other channels. I don't get it. But I guess I don't need to get it. That's okay, I suppose. But it's always been an odd thing to me. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really bother me. It's like, great, you want to put me on a pedestal, make it out like I'm a big important guy that you got to talk about my opinions? Okay. I mean, I'm a fucking nobody from Canada, but okay, you want to pretend like I'm an important guy? By all means, pretend like I'm an important guy. It just does nothing but increase my popularity. And it's funny. It's like over the years, every year, my channel has grown. We get more traffic. I mean, we're over 5 million views a month right now, which is something we've never had. We just crossed 200,000 subscribers, which is still a tiny number, but still the biggest we've ever had. We just crossed 100 million views, which to some is still tiny, but hey, that's a big deal for me. And I just don't know if people realize that they're actually helping me grow. Again, I'm a fucking nobody from Canada. If other people want to pretend like I'm something important and tell everybody else that I'm so important that they need to talk about me, more power to you. More power to you. That's kind of all I'm kind of left to say. All right. Let's see here. Where are we at? Jamie writes, my favorite 5 films of the decade, Inception. The Florida Project's really good, by the way. Silence, which it was a very underrated film, I think. And The Revenant. The Revenant was fantastic. I don't know that any of those are in my top 5. Actually, Revenant might be. Nah, Revenant's not. None of those are my top 5, but that's one of the great things about these top lists is that a lot of times people will put in things that won't necessarily be on your list. But these are all great films, Jamie. Very, very nice list. Let's see. Casinema Reviews writes, I know, John, that's why I said it's for the Rise of Skywalker. See, here's the problem, though, Casinema. Brother, this is why I told people during the week on the John Campea Show, don't send in questions for the Rise of Skywalker discussion until after I'm done open mic and launch and post the live event for Sunday, because I'm not going to find your question now. Like, I'm not going to go scavenging through all the different questions and try to pick out and copy and paste. Like, I've lost your question now. I've already lost it. So that's why I was telling people not to do that, brother. Because I need to find a better way, which I haven't done yet. And this is on me. I have yet to find a way to set up people being able to send in questions early for something else and have it properly organize and divide out so I don't lose questions in with other people's topics and stuff like that, right? But I haven't been able to come up with a way to do that yet. And I'm working on it and I need to get that. But I haven't figured out a way to do that yet. But now your question's probably lost. I mean, I might take some time later to go through, but my days are so tight, I can't really do all that, but I'll take a look. Maybe I can remember to go and get it and find it and then bring it over. But that's one of the reasons specifically why I was telling people not to do it until after we're done the open mic show, because then all the questions can be thrown in and they're all together and they're all ready to go for the spoiler discussion tomorrow. But I'll see what I can do, Casinema. I will see what I can do, because I know you didn't mean to try to throw a wrench in my day. I know that's not what you intended to do. Just so I'll see what I can do. All right. Nick C writes, after watching The Rise of Skywalker, I was filled with emotions, but I loved it. Do you think this movie will be able to partially unite the fandom? Here's what I think. And I hope I'm wrong about this. I think there is a segment, just a segment. I think there is a segment of the fan community that were already so entrenched and dug in to we hate the new Star Wars movies that there is nothing this movie could have done that would get them to come out of their foxholes, right? To come out of their trenches. There is a segment of the fandom, and again, I'm just saying a segment, but there is a segment of the fandom that were so invested in not just how much they already hate the movies, but they want them to be bad and they want everybody to hate them. There's a segment of the fandom that is so entrenched in that position that there is nothing this movie could have done that would have won them over. It was a foregone conclusion. That being said, it's apparently clear that the majority of people, both the majority of critics and the majority of the audience, do like this movie. That in and of itself will be a little bit more unifying than, say, the way we came out of The Last Jedi. Again, I think if The Last Jedi's audience scores were verified at the time, it would have been much higher than 40-something%. But I'm not saying it would have been 80%, right? Because there's a lot of people who didn't like The Last Jedi, and fair enough. A lot of my friends didn't like The Last Jedi. Totally fair. But a number of them who really didn't like The Last Jedi, like my buddy Kyle Newman, he really loves this new movie, man. He loves this new movie. And I haven't had a chance to talk to a couple of my other buddies yet who did not like The Last Jedi to see what they felt about this new one. So will it unify the fan base? I don't think it will, but I think it won't be divisive. But again, we're only 2 days into its officially being released, right? So I think it's too early to call. We'll have to wait and see. But listen, I think if a clear majority of people really enjoy this film, then it'll make some headway. But again, there are some of those, again, just a segment. There's a segment of people who are so entrenched and so invested in, number one, hating the new Star Wars, and number two, wanting others to hate the new Star Wars, and three, wanting Star Wars to fail, that no matter what this movie did, it wasn't going to move them at all. I mean, there's just some people like that. And by the way, to be fair, there is also just a segment of people who are so pro Star Wars, that are so invested in wanting to love Star Wars and wanting everybody to love Star Wars and loving Star Wars no matter what. There's a segment of those people that no matter how bad the Rise of Skywalker was, and by the way, I'm not saying it didn't work for me, but a lot of people love it. But even if it turned out to be the worst film in history, like Jupiter Ascending level bad, they still would have loved it, right? So you got two extremes there. You got some who are completely, just segments, but segments who are so invested in Star Wars is the greatest thing ever, and so invested in we want Star Wars to fail and we want everybody to hate Star Wars, that those two extreme segments were not going to be moved no matter how good or how bad the Rise of Skywalker was. So ultimately, what will the long-term effect be? We're going to have to wait and see. But when a clear majority likes something, it can't do anything but help. So we'll have to wait and see. And I say that as a guy who didn't like the movie. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, thanks for sending that in, Nick. All right, Rich from Queens writes, I sent a $50 super chat earlier that didn't make much sense. So this is a follow-up question. When Captain... there we go. Because you were saying, I'm like, wait, what did that mean? Okay, so here, thank you, Rich, for being so considerate to follow up and to clarify that for me. That's very, very considerate of you. Thank you. Let's see. So this is a follow-up question. When Captain Marvel meets Thor, did I just misread that last time? Maybe you did say Captain Marvel, and I read Captain America. Maybe that was on me. But anyway. But when Captain Marvel meets Thor, and the hammer flies past her head, you hear a whisper, I have telepathy. Why didn't they revisit it, and whose voice was that? Okay, so you're talking in the bunker. You're talking at Avengers headquarters. When he gets the hammer and goes... I like this one. Okay, that's the scene you're talking about. Now I understand. Again, I don't recall hearing the line, I have telepathy. But as I said in your previous question, I'm going to have to go look at that again. I've got it all set up on my Google Play Store downstairs. I can just watch it anytime. I will go watch that, listen to it, and see if I hear it. Because I've never noticed that before. And so that'll go a long way. So keep your eyes open for your standalone video. It'll be coming in the coming days. So, but by the way, Rich, again, that was very thoughtful of you to follow up on that, just to clarify that for my clearly weak and incomprehensible mind. So thank you for that, Rich. All right, Cinema Reviews writes, Sorry about the Rise of Skywalker thing. Didn't know open mic today. Nope. Hey, listen, Kasema, if that is the biggest mistake that you make today, you're going to have a good day. Because I make bigger blunders than that. And I totally know you totally didn't mean anything disrespectful by that. I totally got that. Don't you worry yourself about that, my buddy. All right. Dom Alvarez writes, hey, John, your Patriots are playing. What, right now? Are the Patriots playing today? No. Today's Saturday. How are they playing? Wait a second. Or are you talking about tomorrow when we're going to be doing? No, they're playing today. There's a game today? There's a freaking game today. Wait, why is there a game today? I had no idea there was a game today. I knew the Bills were playing the Patriots. I just thought they were playing tomorrow. Well, shit, we got to wrap this thing up, kids. Patriots are winning 10-3. The Bills are 10-4, man. The Bills are for real this year. Anyway, keep going. Thanks for the... How did I not know that? Thank you for the update. I had no idea there was a game today. I thought the game was tomorrow. All right. Let's see. Jay Master writes, I'm excited for tomorrow's Cardinals versus Seahawks at 125. It's a home game for Seattle Seahawks at the Century City Field here in Seattle. Go Hawks. Hey, listen, man, the Patriots are my team, but I'm a big fan of the Seahawks. When Coach Carroll went there from USC, I always thought he coached a very entertaining brand of football. And I started following the Seahawks a little bit when he went over there, and they're a very, very fun team to watch, and they have been for a long time. And as long as they're not playing my Patriots, I will usually find myself cheering for the Seahawks. They're definitely up there. Of course, I'll also cheer for what is now my hometown team of the Rams. So I'll cheer for them when I can. No playoffs for them this year, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. It looks like the Bills got a field goal. Oh no, they got a touchdown. They tied the game up. Oh, did they take the touchdown away? The ESPN live score just gave them from 3 to 9 points, which means touchdown, but then it just went back down to 3. So did it come back? I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm getting kind of entranced in the score right there. But here, I'll be keeping my fingers crossed. As Robert Meyer Burnett points out, the Seattle Seahawks, the Jedi Knights of the Pacific Northwest. All right, Jay Master also writes, fun fact. Did you know that George of the Jungle and George of the Jungle 2 is on Disney+? Also, I am a big Baby Yoda fan, not so much Baby Groot fan. Yeah, it is crazy. I am a big Baby Groot fan. I love Baby Groot, but I got to admit, I'm more of a Baby Yoda guy. And Anne's got this great little Baby Yoda toy that one of the designers at Hasbro made just for her. It is so cute and adorable. You know what? Let me see if I can find it here, because I should show it to you guys. And the Buffalo game is now going into halftime, so I got a few minutes here. So I'll show you this little picture. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it properly, though. Look at the little Baby Yoda. Look at it. Look how cute that little Baby Yoda is. Like I said, one of the designers at Hasbro made that for Anne. I think that's great. I thought that was awesome. Okay. Anyway, let's keep rolling here. Blake. Blake writes in, just FYI, I asked that you... Let me try this again. Oh, the question I asked that you said was idiotic and like something a 5-year-old would say. Harloff said exactly the same thing. Well, then I'll say that to Christian. I will let him know that for sure. LOL. I don't think it's preposterous to suggest a person may not like a movie that rebuffs one that they do like. I believe it is. I believe it's disrespectful. I believe it's insulting. And I believe it's like believing Santa Claus. I believe it's the same level as coming out and finding the cookies gone on Christmas morning and just believing Santa Claus took them. It is the foundation of toxic fandom. The foundation of toxic fandom is when you or I, because I've done it, make up an excuse for why somebody else who you don't know did or did not like a movie. That is the foundation of toxic fandom. Because you're making an assessment about somebody you've never met in your life, saying, oh, well, they like that movie, but they didn't like that one. Well, clearly then they liked it because, and you start making up an excuse. And I'll call Harloff out on that. That's an idiotic thing to say. That is an absolutely 1000% idiotic thing to say. It is the foundation stone of toxic fandom. And Christian's super smart. He's no idiot. He's brilliant. But there are a number of things he'll say I do that is a stupid thing to do. There's a number of things he'll do I'll say is a stupid thing that he does. That is a stupid thing for him to say. And again, it is just making an excuse for why somebody else thinks something. Somebody you don't know. Now look, if your best friend is a film critic and you know them intimately and you know them almost as well as they know themselves and they say something about a movie, maybe you'd be in a position to say, you know what, I know you better than anybody. I've known you my whole life. I know how you think. I know how you work. And I kind of think that maybe you're not liking this movie because it kind of contradicts the previous movie, which you did like. Like maybe then you'd be in a position that you can say that. But you're talking about people you've never met in your life. And you're making an accusation and an insinuation that is disrespectful and insulting based on a baseless, unproven, and unprovable wild hypothesis that has no foundation in fact. And again, I just think it's one of the most toxic things that we do in fandom. And all of us have been guilty of it. All of us, me included. But we got to catch it when it rears its ugly head and we got to nip it at the bud. And that is, instead of just going, oh, somebody liked this movie because they liked it, and they didn't like another movie because they didn't like it. Instead of doing that, which is what healthy film fan and logical minds do, we start to make up excuses and attributing motives to people that we've never met in our lives and saying, this is why they like this and this is why they didn't like that. No. Somebody liked a movie because they watched it and they liked it. Somebody watched another movie and they didn't like it because they didn't like it. It's the same reason you watch movies and like them or don't. And I'll be frank, Blake. It is disrespectful, insulting, and a little bit pathological to suggest otherwise. When we as film fans start to make excuses for why other people don't see something the way we do, or we start to create and conjure ulterior motives for why somebody thinks what they think about movies and art, that is the building blocks of a horrendously toxic, ugly fandom. That's the building blocks for a toxic and ugly fandom. And I say that to you as somebody who I spend my entire career being accused by people of why I do like something and why I don't like something. It's insulting. It's ridiculous. And it is the building blocks of a toxic, unhealthy, vitriol mess of a fandom. Those are the building blocks of it. And it's something we should not do. We should look at other film fans or critics or pundits or just average movie fans that when they say they like it, we should just accept they liked it. And we can agree or disagree with them, but they liked it because they watched the movie and they had a positive experience and they liked it. Or they watched another movie and they didn't like it, and we should be healthy enough as a fan base to go, okay, so they watched it and they didn't like it because they didn't like it. It's really no more complicated than that. And again, to repeat it for the 9th time, because I believe it is so essential for film fandom and for a healthy film fandom. We poison film fandom every time we start to make an excuse for why somebody likes or does not like something, instead of just accepting they liked it because they watched it and they liked it. The moment you start making up ulterior motives and making these things up out of thin air for no reason and no basis whatsoever, you are poisoning the film fandom. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. We just got to catch ourselves when we're doing it. And then you can talk away. You can try to justify saying, no, it's reasonable. No, it's not. Have you ever met that guy that you're accusing of doing that? No, you've never even met them. Then no, it's not reasonable for you to make that sort of wild, baseless, foundationless claim. It's not rational to do that. It's actually the opposite of that. You've never met that person. You don't know that person. I don't know that person. You don't know that person. So no, it is the foundation of a toxic, sick, poisonous fandom that we are trying to get ourselves out of. And it's just something that shouldn't be done, brother. It's just something that should not be done. It is the hallmark of a weak mind. And we all do it. But it's the hallmark of a weak mind when we just don't accept that somebody likes what they like and doesn't like what they don't like, and we try to come up and make up our own imaginary excuses as to why they do or do not do that. It's insulting, it's stupid, and we got to stop it. And I need to stop it when I catch myself doing it. You got to stop it when you catch yourself doing it. It just makes for an ugly, ugly, ugly fandom. It really does. Anyway, that's just me. All right, Darklock63 writes, checked out on Harley Quinn after second episode. Hope movie does not follow the same path. Again, there's another great example. Some people loving something and some people not. Somebody wrote in a little bit earlier talking about how much they love the new Harley Quinn. And now we have somebody writing in and saying how much they don't like it and they checked out. Again, it just speaks to that whole subjective nature of it. We're going to watch art and it's going to hit us all in different ways. And right there, Darth, your timing couldn't be more perfect, Darklock. Your timing couldn't be more perfect. There's a perfect example of that right there. So I'm sorry you didn't like it. I haven't watched it myself. I don't really plan on watching it, but anybody who does, I hope they love it. But you didn't, and I'm sorry about that. All right, Superman Steve writes, John, I totally understand your point about binge watching The Witcher. In my opinion, I absolutely loved it so much. I love how consistent Henry Cavill was in his character through every single episode. Just brilliant. Can't wait to watch it, man. I remember yesterday. It was yesterday. Ann and I were driving out to what's it called, Palos Verdes in California, to go to one of her uncle's houses for a Christmas get together, and it came up, like Anne said, oh, well, and we got to start watching Witcher. I'm like, yeah, when does it come out? She goes, it came out today. I'm like, what? Like I was so shocked. So I cannot wait to see it. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Steve. I'm glad everybody's been enjoying it so far. I can't wait to watch it. All right, Jared Murray writes, ever heard of Real Good? It's a free movie tracking service that tells you where you can stream every movie you add to your watch list. It's really helpful for people wanting to catch up on their cinema. I did not know. Now, as long as, that sounds amazing, as long as it's not telling you where you can go and pirate it. As long as it's not telling you where you can go and pirate something, that's cool. If it's just telling you, hey, with all the streaming services out there today, here's how you can watch a movie you're looking forward to. That's a really good idea. That's a good idea for app. I have not heard of it before, Jared, but I am going to go look that up because that's a fabulous idea. As long as it's, because, there are so many streaming services now and they're becoming so fragmented about who exclusively has rights to certain movies that it could become a real, like if you wanted to watch George of the Jungle, you didn't know where you could find it. Now you know. That's actually a really neat idea. Thanks for sharing that, Murray. Nick Unger writes, on the AMC app, there is a circled question mark next to the showtime that says you should allow for 20 minutes on top of the showtime for pre-show / trailers. That is, I remember that somebody brought that up before. It's a small step in the right direction, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Because, when you make it 30 minutes, we're still in there and we got to sit through 10 minutes of trailers that we don't want. Or if we do come later, then we're missing the start of the movie. They should tell us when the movie starts. And there's no excuse for not giving it, especially now that we all have the AMC app. You can just update that like that. This movie starts at 7:27. Great. Wonderful. So that's a good thing they do. It's a small step in the right direction, but it's not enough. You don't just say, yeah, you should allow for about, no. Tell me when the movie starts. You don't have to get it right down to the right second, but tell me when the movie starts. Don't tell me about 20 minutes and so I show up at 6:20 instead of 6 o'clock and then it doesn't start till 6:40. You know what I mean? Tell me the time it starts, but at least, Nick, That is a small step in the right direction. Here's hoping AMC and other movie theater chains keep going in that direction. All right, Wave Wonder writes, glad sequels are behind us, interested in OG stories. I'm all for sequels. I want more sequels, but now just tell different stories. You know, I like moving forward in time. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for movies that take place in the Old Republic, because that becomes so far removed from the original trilogy that you're not handcuffed to any outcome. You can still have anything happen because you're going thousands of years into the past. So it's so separated from the events of the new films that you can still do anything and not worry about how the implications on the new movies, because they're separated by thousands of years. So there is no real practical connection. So, but other than that, I like the idea of moving forward. Nick also writes, it's next to the runtime on your digital ticket. That's interesting. I'm gonna open up my AMC app, Nick, and take a look for that. Dim-Sum05 writes, my list so far. Number 1, Knives Out. I guess you're talking about movies this year. Knives Out. Number 2, Parasite. Number 3, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 4, Marriage Story. Having a hard time finding number 5. Well, it'll come to me. Bombshell was very good, by the way. Margot Robbie was fantastic. There was one very creepy scene that made me feel gross. Good flick. Right now, my top 5 of the year, and it looks like this is how it's going to shape up. My top 5 of the year right now is number 1, Jojo Rabbit. Number 2, Parasite. Number 3, Knives Out. Number 4, The Farewell. And number 5, Ford v Ferrari. That's how my top 5 lists right now. It's starting to look like that's going to be it. That's probably going to be my list. So it's getting there. But man, Knives Out, Parasite, Marriage Story was also very, very good. It's not in my top 5, but Marriage Story was very, very good. But my Ford v Ferrari was really great too. And a lot of people didn't see The Farewell. Farewell's a magical movie. It really is. It's emotional. It's got such great heart. I love that. If you haven't had a chance to see The Farewell yet, watch it as soon as you get the opportunity to do so. All right. Let's see here. Vincent Vasquez writes, have you seen Eternal Sunshine of a Beautiful Mind? Well, I've seen The Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. I've not. Is that like I don't know if you just miswrote that, or is that like a spoof movie? If it's a Spotless Mind, then yes. If it's a spoof movie, I've not even heard of it. Brent1 writes, my throat's starting to go, guys. I don't know if you can hear it, my throat. My voice is starting to go. Okay. Brent writes, hey, John, have you seen season 3 of Runaways? Nope. I was mentioning that a little bit earlier. Still haven't started watching it yet, and I love this show. It is better than season 2 by a little bit. Also, the addition of the ageless Elizabeth Hurley was a nice surprise. I didn't even know Elizabeth Hurley was in it. I mean, I knew she was nice. I didn't even know Elizabeth Hurley was in it. It's funny you mentioned that, because me and one of Anne's cousins were just talking about Elizabeth Hurley last night, about how great Elizabeth Hurley is. I had no idea she was in that. No, haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I want to get through. I need to watch Witcher. I need to watch season 4 of The Expanse, and then I will watch Runaways season 3. It's high on my priority list. I love this show. I really want to get on that. HV3 writes, John, I know you are a Patriots fan and I am a Vikings fan, but it's nice seeing the Bills playing so well. They just tied the Patriots 10-10 at halftime. Okay, so they did tie it at halftime. There we go. Yeah, listen, back when I was younger, I used to be a huge Bills fan. I was a huge Buffalo Bills fan because I grew up close to the Bills. The Bills were just across the border from where I lived in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So I followed the Bills through, and I was much younger, but all 4 of their Super Bowl appearances in a row. And then the Buffalo Bills betrayed their fans. The Buffalo Bills were having a magical season with Doug Flutie Flakes, Doug Flutie at quarterback. He goes down for like a game or something, and inexplicably, they get into the playoffs, and inexplicably, with a healthy Doug Flutie, who had carried them all year, they decided for no reason, we don't think we're going to have Doug Flutie start for us in our playoff game. What the holy F are you talking about? Yeah, I think we're going to go with this new kid we drafted. We're going to go with this Rob Johnson kid. No disrespect to Rob Johnson, by the way. Yeah, this kid we drafted, we're going to go with him. We're going to make him our starting quarterback for the play. Doug Flutie carried us here. He's great. What are you talking about? Yeah, you watch. This is going to work out great. And of course they lost. And it was such a betrayal. It was such a betrayal that it scarred me. And while I have always still looked upon the Buffalo Bills with a warm place in my heart, I was never able to be a big Buffalo Bills fan since then, since that utter, complete betrayal of the fans. But I'm not going to lie. It's nice to look at the Bills today and see them doing so well, because they've struggled for so long. It is really nice to look at them and seeing them doing well. It is, I got to say. All right, let's see here. Jared Murray writes, last couple of questions, guys, and then we're going to be wrapped up here. Jared Murray writes, yes, Real Good is totally legal. Okay, that's good to know. It has every streaming service, Netflix, Hulu, Prime, etc. Also includes free ones like Tubi. Oh, that's cool. Crackle, Vudu, and IMDb TV. I wish I discovered it sooner. That sounds, then honestly, Jared, that sounds like a great idea. Because not only do we have all those, and now we have Disney Plus, and then we're going to have NBC Peacock, and then we're going to have HBO Max, and then we're going to have 15 others pop up. Finding the movies we want to watch is going to become a bigger and bigger issue, and to have apps like that is a great idea. Okay. Tacky writes, John, many critics explicitly say in their reviews that one of the reasons they dislike Rise of Skywalker is because it essentially repudiates Last Jedi. But you are misinterpreting what they're saying. See, one of the things I don't like about the Rise of Skywalker is connected to that. But it's because I believe watching the movie, it made the movie bad. It's not that they did a great thing, but I just don't like it because it went against what I liked before. No, it's because they thought it was a bad move and they thought it didn't work for the movie. So I think you're misinterpreting what it is, and you're adding a meaning to it than what they said before. Like when I talk in my open spoilers tomorrow, I am going to mention a couple of things that they specifically did that countered The Last Jedi. But it could still have been great. Just because they did something I don't think they should have done doesn't mean, like you've heard me talk a lot about in my movie reviews, that they did something that I didn't want them to do and that I didn't think would be good, but it turned out to be awesome. So when we talk in our spoiler discussion tomorrow, there are going to be a couple things that I point out that, hey, they did this that I didn't think they should do, and it made the movie bad. It could have made the movie great. It's not just, I didn't dislike it because they did it. It's because they did it and I think it failed. As opposed to they did something I didn't think they should have done and it turned out great, which you've often heard me say about many movies. So I think you're misinterpreting what it is they're saying. Vincent Vasquez writes, Spotless, love that movie. Oh, okay. I see. You're correct. Yeah. Not of a beautiful mind, of a spotless. Spotless. Love that movie. Great. Yes. And Carrie is amazing in it. One of his, if not maybe his best performance ever. Jay Boogie writes, I believe the cast of Atlanta is the best ever on TV. Donald Glover, Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, and Zazie Beetz. Can you think of a more talented TV show cast? Yeah, many. And believe me, that's no knock. And then I like Atlanta very much. And I like Zazie Beetz. And I like Lakeith Stanfield very, very much. I like Brian Tyree Henry, and I like Donald Glover. I like all of them. I think they're very, very good. I don't put them in the top 20. Maybe 20. But, you know, there have just been, and again, they are one of the great ones. They're one of the really, really good casts and ensembles. But best? No, not for me. I'm glad you feel that way, and I love Atlanta. I've watched every single episode multiple times. I really enjoy the show. I'm a big fan of Lakeith Stanfield, seeing when he gets to pop up in things, even when he's in terrible movies. But I just love seeing him pop up in things. Love seeing him in Knives Out, by the way. And I think Zazie Beetz is really good. I think Brian Tyree Henry is very good. But no, I wouldn't rank them that high. There are so many. And that's not a knock on them. It's just that there are so many great shows in television today and in history that have such, as we look back on them, like, oh my God, look at the all-star cast, up and down. Look at the all-star cast and what that show did, that that I don't think you can put, personally, just me, my opinion, I don't think you can put Atlanta on that list. But who knows? If the show lasts another 7 seasons, maybe it evolves into that. We'll have to wait and see. All right, now final question of the day, whose name I cannot read. I believe that's Korean, I think. Top 10 of the decade, 10 Get Out. Number 9, Spotlight. Spotlight's so good. Number 8, Inception. Number 7, Nightcrawler. Number 6, Social Network. Number 5, Mad Max. Number 4, Logan. Number 3, Django. Number 1, Parasite. Or number 2, Parasite. Number 1, The Arrival. I like Arrival. To me, it's not one of the better Denis Villeneuve. Like, I didn't love it like other people. Like, for instance, I remember a lot of people got really mad at me that I didn't put Arrival, which I like. I like the movie, but I didn't put it in my top 10 of the year when it came out. And a lot of people got so mad at me. But I just think I think it's probably the weakest of Villeneuve's films. I think it's the weakest of his films. And that says something that I still think it's good. That says something about just how good Denis Villeneuve is at what he does. That I could possibly say that. Anyway, you got some fabulous films on your list there. All right, guys, that will do it for today's 3-hour installment of the John Campea Show. Or this is Open Mic, of the 3-hour installment of Open Mic. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of the show today. I really appreciate it. Listen, guys, lots of things to be excited about, including the fact that we're going to be talking about here tomorrow, the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker open spoiler discussion. About 5 minutes after this show is done, I will post the live event for that. And you guys can start firing in your questions. 2 ways to fire them in. The best way is to use the tip link down below. But if you don't, then you can use the super chat feature that'll be on the live event as well. You can start firing those in. I'm anticipating a 3, 4, 5 hour show tomorrow for us talking about Rise of Skywalker. Make sure you guys come back and join us for that. Again, guys, let me kind of plug this as well. Make sure you guys check out The Weekly Hero. Go open your favorite podcast app of choice. Find, subscribe to The Weekly Hero, rate it, comment on it, all that kind of stuff. And that'll do it now for me, guys. So until tomorrow, glorious tomorrow, with the Rise of Skywalker open spoiler discussion, it'll be at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you guys join us for that. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Not just because you sent in great fun things for us to talk about, but also because thank you to all of you guys who supported the channel while you were doing it. That'll do it for now. My name is John Campea, guys, and until next time.